When Serena Vale walked into the Santoro wedding, she thought she'd escaped her family's criminal past for good. But across that glittering ballroom, Lucien Moretti, Boston's most feared kingpin, locked eyes with her, and everything changed. What started as a single glance became obsession. What felt like protection turned into possession. And when rival families started dying because of her, Serena faced an impossible choice. Run from the most dangerous man in the city, or surrender to him completely. Stay with me until the end of this story. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this tale travels. Shimbus. The first mistake Serena Vale made that night was thinking she could blend in. The second was believing her past wouldn't follow her through those ballroom doors. She stood just inside the entrance of the Fairmont Ballroom, champagne flute gripped too tight in her left hand, scanning faces she'd spent 6 years trying to forget. Crystal chandeliers threw fractured light across marble floors. Women in couture gowns drifted between men in $1,000 suits, their laughter polished and empty. Everything gleamed, gold fixtures, diamond necklaces, the kind of wealth that didn't need to announce itself because everyone already knew. This was the Santoro wedding. Old money marrying old power. The kind of event where alliances were forged in whispered conversations and blood debts were settled with handshakes. Serena shouldn't have been here. Not anymore. She'd left this world behind when she was 22, walked away from her family's empire with nothing but a duffel bag and a one-way ticket to Cambridge. Built herself a quiet life designing logos for startups and teaching weekend art classes to kids who actually smiled when they saw her. No bodyguards. No paranoia. No waking up wondering if today was the day someone put a bullet in her father's head. But her brother Marcus had called 3 weeks ago, voice tight with something that sounded like fear. "You need to come to the Santoro wedding." "I don't need to do anything," she'd said. "Serena." A pause. "Please, just this once, show your face, let them see you're still family. Dad's position is weaker than it's been in 20 years. If you don't show up, it sends a message." "Good. Let it. People are asking questions, saying you turned your back, saying Dad can't even control his own daughter." His voice dropped. "You know what happens when they smell weakness." She'd hung up, then stared at her phone for an hour before calling him back. Now here she stood, suffocating in Valentino she'd bought specifically for this performance, trying to look like she belonged among people who'd slit throats over shipping routes and territory lines. Her father hadn't even greeted her when she arrived. Just a single nod from across the room, his face carved from granite, before he turned back to whatever conversation was draining the blood from his expression. Serena moved toward the bar, needing something stronger than champagne. That's when the room changed. It happened gradually. Conversations didn't stop all at once. They stuttered, hesitated, then died in waves spreading from the main entrance. Heads turned, postures straightened, the kind of attention that felt like prey animals sensing a predator. Serena glanced toward the doors and saw him. Lucien Moretti walked into the ballroom like he owned not just the room, but everyone in it. Tall, lean, moving with the kind of economy that suggested violence was always one thought away. Dark suit cut so perfectly it looked like armor. Black hair swept back from a face that might have been handsome if it wasn't so fucking cold. She'd heard stories. Everyone had. Lucien Moretti had inherited Boston's Underworld at 24 when his father was murdered in a restaurant downtown. 3 weeks later, every man involved in that hit was dead. Not arrested. Dead. The kind of thorough that sent a message no one could misinterpret. In the 7 years since, he'd consolidated power with surgical precision. Drugs, gambling, construction, shipping. If it made money in Boston and skirted legality, Lucien touched it. But unlike her father's generation, Lucien didn't grandstand, didn't make speeches or throw parties to show dominance. He just erased problems, quietly, permanently. Men twice his age stepped aside when he moved through the room, not out of respect, out of survival instinct. Serena forced herself to look away, focus on the bartender pouring her vodka. None of her business. She'd paid her appearance fee by showing up. Another hour, she could leave, drive back to Cambridge, and forget this world existed. Then she felt it. The weight of attention, specific, targeted. She glanced up. Lucien Moretti was staring directly at her, not a casual glance. Not the once-over men gave women at events like this. This was something else entirely. His dark eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that felt physical, like he'd reached across 30 feet of marble floor and pressed his hand against her throat. No smile, no acknowledgement. Just assessment. Serena's pulse kicked hard against her ribs. She broke eye contact first, grabbed her drink, turned toward the crowd. Stupid. Weak. But standing there being examined by Boston's most dangerous man felt like standing naked under stadium lights. When she risked another look, he'd moved on, speaking quietly to one of the Santoro cousins. But something in her gut twisted with certainty. Whatever that moment was, it wasn't over. Halts. The dinner was torture. Serena found herself seated at a table with distant relatives and business associates, all of them performing enthusiasm for overcooked filet and speeches about family and loyalty. She smiled at the right moments, laughed at terrible jokes, and counted minutes. Her father sat 3 tables away, deep in conversation with Angelo Santoro himself. Marcus hovered nearby, playing the dutiful son, the heir who'd never disappointed anyone. Good for him. Serena was reaching for her wine when she caught movement in her peripheral vision. Lucien Moretti, walking past her table. He didn't stop, didn't even slow. But as he passed behind her chair, his hand brushed the back of her neck. Just barely. Just enough to let her know it was deliberate. Ice shot down her spine. She sat frozen, fork halfway to her mouth, trying to process what the fuck just happened. No one else at the table noticed. Why would they? It lasted half a second. But Serena felt it like a brand. When she finally turned to look, Lucien was already gone, disappeared into the crowd near the ballroom's far exit. Her hands were shaking. She set down her fork, excused herself to the bathroom, and spent 5 minutes gripping the marble sink, staring at her reflection, trying to calm her breathing. This was insane. She was reading into nothing. Powerful men they didn't notice women like her. She wasn't important, wasn't a player. She was the estranged daughter who'd walked away, who designed websites and taught watercolor painting to suburban kids. Lucien Moretti had no reason to give a single fuck about her existence. She splashed cold water on her wrists, fixed her lipstick, and returned to the ballroom determined to finish this night without further incident. An hour later, Marcus found her near the coat check. "You actually came," he said, something like relief in his voice. "I said I would. You also said you'd come to Dad's birthday last year." "I was busy." "Serena, I'm here now, aren't I?" She softened slightly. Marcus wasn't the enemy. He'd just chosen a different path. "How bad is it, with Dad?" Marcus glanced around, lowered his voice. "The Castellanos are pushing into South Boston. 3 of our distribution points got hit last month. Dad's trying to negotiate, but..." He hesitated. "People are starting to wonder if he's losing his grip. And me showing up tonight is supposed to fix that? It shows unity. Shows you haven't completely turned your back." Serena wanted to laugh, or scream. Instead, she just nodded. "I'll stay another hour. Then I'm gone." "Thank you." Marcus squeezed her shoulder, then disappeared back into the crowd. She was gathering her coat when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something, instinct, curiosity, stupidity, made her swipe. "Hello?" Silence. Then a voice, low and smooth and utterly calm. "You left early." Serena's blood turned to ice water. She knew that voice. Not from conversation, from reputation, from the way people spoke about him in hushed tones. Who is this? But she already knew. "I think you know." A pause. "I wanted to introduce myself properly, but you disappeared." "I don't..." Her mouth was dry. "I don't know what you're talking about." "The Santoro wedding. You were sitting at table 7. You left during the dessert course." His voice held no threat, no aggression. Somehow that made it worse. "I'm Lucien Moretti." She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. "How did you get this number?" "Does it matter?" "Yes. I wanted to speak with you, so I acquired your contact information." Simple. Matter of fact. Like acquiring someone's private phone number was as easy as Googling a restaurant, which, for Lucien Moretti, it probably was. Serena forced herself to speak. "What do you want?" "To have dinner, tomorrow night." "No." "You haven't heard where." "I don't care where. The answer is no." Silence stretched between them. She could hear her own heartbeat in her ears. Then Lucien said very quietly, "I'll send a car. 7 o'clock. Wear something comfortable." "I just said..." "I heard what you said." Still calm, still patient. The car will be outside your building at 7. If you choose not to come, that's your decision, but I think you will. Why the fuck would I? He hung up. Serena stood in the Fairmont lobby, phone pressed to her ear, listening to dead air. This wasn't happening. This didn't happen to people like her. She drove home to Cambridge in silence, hands locked on the steering wheel, checking her mirrors every 30 seconds. No one followed her. No black sedans lurking at traffic lights. By the time she parked outside her apartment building, she'd almost convinced herself the call had been some kind of weird power play. A message, not an actual expectation. Lucian Moretti didn't personally invite graphic designers to dinner. She was nobody. The next morning, Serena woke to sunlight streaming through her bedroom window and the certainty that last night had been surreal but finite. She made coffee, answered emails, worked on a logo redesign for a nonprofit. Normal. Manageable. At 6:30 that evening, her phone rang. Unknown number. She let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, a text arrived. The car is downstairs. Serena's stomach dropped. She went to her window, looked down at the street. A black Mercedes sedan sat at the curb directly in front of her building. Engine running. Driver in a dark suit standing beside the rear door. Her hands were shaking again. This was insane. She wasn't going. She was going to ignore this, call the police if necessary, and what? Tell them Boston's most powerful crime lord sent a car to pick her up for dinner? They'd laugh. Or worse, they'd take her seriously, and then she'd be the woman who brought law enforcement attention to Lucian Moretti. She knew enough about this world to understand how that ended. At 6:55, she was still standing at her window, paralyzed. At 6:58, she grabbed her jacket and went downstairs. The driver opened the door without a word. Serena slid into the back seat, leather cool against her jeans, and tried to control her breathing. They drove in silence through Cambridge, across the river into Boston, through streets she recognized, and then some she didn't. 15 minutes later, the car pulled up in front of a restaurant in the North End. Small, elegant, the kind of place that didn't advertise because it didn't need to. The driver opened her door. Serena stepped onto the sidewalk. Lucian Moretti was waiting just inside the entrance. Up close, he was somehow worse, taller than she'd estimated, eyes darker, the kind of face that cameras would love if he ever allowed himself to be photographed. "Serena," he said, not a question. "I shouldn't be here." "But you are." He gestured toward the restaurant's interior. "Shall we?" Every instinct screamed at her to run. Instead, she walked inside. The restaurant was empty except for them. Entire dining room, cleared out. Just candlelight and white tablecloths and silence. Lucien led her to a table near the back, pulled out her chair, waited until she sat before taking his own seat across from her. "You rented out the whole restaurant," Serena said. "I prefer privacy." "This is insane." "Is it?" He poured wine, something red, probably worth more than her rent, and slid a glass toward her. "I wanted to meet you properly. Away from the performance of the Santoro wedding." "You don't know me?" "Not yet." Serena's pulse hammered. "What do you want from me?" Lucien studied her for a long moment. Then he leaned back, expression unreadable. "I saw you at the wedding. You looked out of place. Not uncomfortable exactly. More like you were remembering why you'd left." "You don't know anything about me. Your name is Serena Vale, 28, daughter of Vincent Vale, who runs gambling and smuggling operations through South Boston and Dorchester. You have one brother, Marcus, who's being groomed to take over. And you," he paused, "you walked away 6 years ago, got a degree in graphic design, teach art classes, live alone in a one-bedroom apartment in Cambridge." Horror crawled up her spine. "How do you—" "I wanted to know who you were, so I found out." That's fucking stalking." "Yes." No shame, no deflection, just simple acknowledgement. Serena stood abruptly, chair scraping marble. "I'm leaving." "Sit down." "Fuck you." Lucian's expression didn't change. "If you leave now, I'll respect that decision, but you'll always wonder what this conversation would have been, and I'll always regret not having it." "I don't care about your regrets." "I think you do." He met her eyes. "I think you came tonight because part of you was curious, and I think you're standing there trying to decide if fear or curiosity is stronger." She hated that he was right. Slowly, Serena sat back down. Lucien nodded once. Thank you. I haven't agreed to anything. I know. A waiter appeared. When had he arrived? And placed plates in front of them. Some kind of pasta, delicate and artful. Serena wasn't hungry. Why me? She asked. Why am I here? Lucien picked up his fork, considered the question. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. I saw you at the wedding and... He hesitated, searching for words. You looked real. Everyone else in that room was performing, playing roles. But you looked like you were enduring something you hated, and that struck me as the most honest thing I'd seen in months. So you decided to, what, stalk me? Pursue you? That's worse. Perhaps. He took a bite of pasta, chewed thoughtfully. I don't do this, Serena. I don't chase women. I don't have dinner with people outside my organization. I barely have conversations that aren't business. But when I saw you, I wanted... Another pause. I wanted to know if the realness I saw was genuine or just another performance I was misreading. Serena stared at him. You sound insane. Probably. I should leave. You keep saying that because it's true. Lucien set down his fork. Let me be clear about something. I'm not a good man. I've done things that would horrify you if you knew the details. I've hurt people, killed people. I live in a world built on violence and control. But I don't lie. Not to people I'm interested in. Interested in, Serena repeated. Like I'm a business opportunity. Like you're someone I want to understand. Why? Because everyone else in my life wants something from me. Power, protection, money, approval. His dark eyes held hers. You don't want any of those things. In fact, you seem horrified to be anywhere near me, and that, a slight smile, humorless. That's refreshing. Serena's hands were trembling. She hid them in her lap. This whole thing is a mistake. Maybe. I don't belong in your world. You were born into it, and I left. But you came back tonight. She had no answer for that. They ate in silence for several minutes. The pasta was perfect. Serena barely tasted it. Finally, she said, If I walk out right now, will you follow me? Lucien considered. No, but I'll think about you, and eventually I'll call again. And if I don't answer, then I'll try again another day. That's harassment. Yes, no denial. But I don't think you'll ignore me forever. You're awfully confident. I'm awfully persistent. Serena laughed, sharp, bitter. This is the most fucked up conversation I've ever had. I warned you I wasn't a good man. You really weren't kidding. Lucien's expression softened almost imperceptibly. I know this is overwhelming. I know showing up at your building was aggressive, but I wanted you to understand something. I don't do this lightly. I don't pursue people on a whim. When I commit to something, or someone, I commit completely. That's supposed to reassure me? No. It's supposed to warn you. They finished dinner, or rather, Lucien finished. Serena pushed food around her plate and drank too much wine. Afterward, he walked her back to the car. On the sidewalk, under streetlights, he said, I'd like to see you again. I don't think that's a good idea. Probably not, but I'd still like to. Serena met his eyes. Up close, they weren't just dark, they were depthless. The kind of eyes that had seen things she couldn't imagine and remembered every single one. Why are you really doing this? She asked. Lucien was quiet for a long moment. Then, because I'm tired of being surrounded by people who fear me. I want to know what it's like to be around someone who sees me and isn't already calculating how to use or avoid me. I'm afraid of you. I know. But you're still standing here. She should leave. Get in the car. Go home. Block his number. Disappear back into her quiet Cambridge life and forget this entire surreal evening. Instead, she heard herself say, One more dinner, that's it. Lucien smiled, genuine this time, small but real. One more dinner. The driver opened the car door, Serena slid inside, and they drove her home in silence. When she got back to her apartment, she locked every door, checked every window, and sat on her couch staring at nothing. Her phone buzzed. Thank you for tonight. L. She should delete the message. Block the number. She saved it instead. The next 3 days passed in a haze of second-guessing. Serena threw herself into work, took on extra projects, avoided her phone. But at night, lying in bed, she kept replaying the dinner. Lucien's voice, his eyes. The way he'd looked at her like she was a puzzle he genuinely wanted to solve. It was fucked up, all of it, and she couldn't stop thinking about it. On the fourth day he called. This time she answered. "I'm not ready for another dinner," she said. "Then let's do something else." A pause. "Do you like art?" "What?" "Art. Paintings. Sculpture. I have tickets to a gallery opening tomorrow night. Come with me." "Lucienne, no restaurant, no private room, just a public event with wine and overpriced installations. Low pressure." Serena closed her eyes. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I want to see you again. And I suspect if I push too hard, you'll run." "I should run." "Probably, but you won't." Damn him for being right. "One gallery opening," she said. "Then we reassess." Deal. The gallery was in the seaport, all white walls and harsh lighting and art that looked like someone had spilled paint and called it genius. Lucian met her outside wearing a dark suit that probably cost more than her car. "You clean up well?" she said before she could stop herself. "So do you." They walked inside together. Serena expected, what? Bodyguards? Entourage? But Lucien arrived alone, moved through the gallery like any other attendee. People recognized him, she could tell. Eyes followed. Conversations hushed. But no one approached. "Do they always stare like that?" she asked. "Always." "Doesn't it bother you?" "You get used to it." They stopped in front of a massive abstract canvas, red and black slashes across white. "What do you think?" Lucien asked. Serena tilted her head. "I think it's trying too hard. All that violence, but no emotion behind it. Just performance." "Interesting." "You disagree?" "No, I think you're exactly right." He moved to the next piece. "Tell me something. Why did you leave your family?" The question caught her off guard. "That's personal." "We're having dinner together, multiple dinners, apparently. I'd say we're past polite small talk." Serena studied a sculpture, twisted metal, sharp edges. "I left because I didn't want to become them. My father, my brother. People who measured success in body counts and territory lines." She glanced at him. "No offense?" "None taken. I wanted normalcy. I wanted to wake up and not wonder if today was the day someone retaliated. I wanted to build something instead of destroy." Lucien was quiet, absorbing that. Then he said, "I don't know what that's like. Building instead of destroying. Maybe you should try it." "Maybe." A slight smile. "Though I suspect I'd be terrible at it." They wandered through the gallery, talking about art and Boston and nothing of substance. And for an hour, Serena almost forgot who she was with, almost forgot the danger standing beside her in expensive Italian shoes. Until they stepped outside into the cool night air and a black SUV pulled up to the curb. 3 men got out. Serena recognized the middle one, Carlo Benedetti, one of her father's rivals. Old guard, vicious. Carlo's eyes landed on Lucian, then shifted to Serena. Recognition flickered across his face. "Well," Carlo said, approaching, "Lucienne Moretti and Vincent Vale's daughter. Interesting combination." Lucian's posture didn't change, but something in the air shifted, became colder. "Carlo," Lucian said evenly, "enjoy your evening." "I intend to." Carlo's smile was all teeth. "Just surprised to see you slumming with the Vales. Thought you had better taste." Serena's jaw clenched. Lucienne stepped forward, just one step, but it was enough to make Carlo's men tense. "Insult her again," Lucienne said quietly, "and I'll take it personally." Silence. Carlo's smile faded. No disrespect intended. "Good." Lucian's voice stayed calm, almost pleasant. "Then we're done here." He placed his hand on the small of Serena's back and guided her toward the valet. They didn't speak until they were in Lucien's car, pulling away from the gallery. "I'm sorry about that," Lucian said. "Why are you apologizing? He's the asshole." "Because being seen with me puts a target on you. People like Carlo will start asking questions, making assumptions." Serena turned to look at him. "Is that what this is? You marking territory?" "No." He met her eyes. "But it's what people will think, and I need you to understand the consequences of continuing to see me." "Which are?" "Your father will hear about tonight. By tomorrow, half of Boston's underworld will know we're whatever we are, and some of them will see you as leverage." Serena's stomach tightened. Then maybe we should stop. Maybe, Lucian's jaw set. But I don't want to. What you want doesn't matter if it gets me killed. I won't let that happen. You can't promise that. Yes, Lucian said. I can. The certainty in his voice should have been reassuring. Instead, it terrified her. Because Serena was starting to realize something horrifying. Lucien Moretti wasn't just interested in her. He was becoming obsessed. And men like Lucien didn't do anything halfway. When he dropped her off that night, he walked her to her building's entrance. I meant what I said, he told her. I'll protect you. From Carlo. From anyone else who thinks you're a weakness. I'm not your responsibility. Not yet. He brushed a strand of hair from her face, gentle, deliberate. But you're becoming one. Then he left. Serena stood in her lobby, heart racing, and realized she was in far deeper than she'd ever intended. The next morning, her brother called. What the fuck are you doing? Marcus's voice was tight with panic. Good morning to you too. Don't play dumb. You were seen with Lucien Moretti at a gallery. Carlo Benedetti saw you. Serena's pulse spiked. So? Serena, do you have any idea what kind of message that sends? Dad is losing his mind. He thinks Lucien is trying to, I don't even know, leverage us? Send a message? Maybe I was just on a date. Silence. Then, you're dating Lucien Moretti. I didn't say that. But you're not denying it. Serena closed her eyes. It's complicated. Uncomplicated. Now. I'm 28 years old, Marcus. I can see whoever I want. Not him. Anyone but him. Marcus's voice dropped. Serena, Lucien Moretti is the most dangerous man in Boston. He doesn't date. He doesn't have relationships. He acquires things, people, territory, power. If you think this is romance, you're delusional. I know what he is. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, you're walking into a trap. Maybe, or maybe he's exactly what he says he is. Which is what? Interested. Marcus made a strangled sound. This is going to get you killed, or worse. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I'm serious. Dad wants you to come home. Tonight. He wants to talk. Tell Dad I'm busy. Serena? She hung up. 2 hours later, Lucian called. Your family is upset, he said. You heard already? I hear everything. A pause. I can make this easier. Talk to your father. Explain that... Explain what? That you're stalking me? That you cleared out an entire restaurant so we could have dinner? That you're... What, exactly? Silence. Then Lucian said very quietly, I don't know yet, but I'd like the chance to find out. Serena sat down on her couch, phone pressed to her ear, and made a decision that would change everything. Okay, she said. Okay. One condition. You stop being mysterious. You stop playing games. If you want to see me, then actually see me. No more carefully managed dinners or public galleries. I want to know who you really are. Serena, those are my terms. Take them or leave them. Lucian was quiet for a long time. Then, come to my place tonight. 7 o'clock. I'll show you exactly who I am. Where? I'll send the address. He hung up. Serena stared at her phone, wondering if she'd just made the smartest or stupidest decision of her life. At 6:30, a text arrived with an address in the seaport. At 6:55, she was in an Uber, heading toward whatever came next. The building was sleek glass and steel, luxury condos overlooking Boston Harbor. The kind of place where penthouses sold for 8 figures. Security waved her through without question. The elevator required a key card. The attendant handed her one without asking her name. 47th floor. The doors opened directly into Lucian's penthouse. He was waiting. The space was massive. Floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, everything cold and precise. No warmth, no personality, just wealth and power rendered in marble and glass. Welcome, Lucian said. Serena stepped inside. The elevator doors closed behind her, and for the first time since this whole thing started, she realized she was completely alone with the most dangerous man in Boston. No escape, no witnesses. Just her and him and whatever truth he was about to reveal. Lucien gestured toward the windows. Drink? Sure. He poured whiskey, expensive, smooth, and handed her a glass. You wanted to know who I really am, he said. So ask. Serena took a sip, gathering courage. How many people have you killed? Lucien didn't flinch. Personally or ordered? Both. Personally, 7. Ordered? He paused. I stopped counting after 30. The honesty was brutal. No deflection, no justification. Does it bother you? She asked. Sometimes, less than it should. Why? Because they were threats to me, to my organization, to people I care about. He met her eyes. I don't kill for pleasure, Serena. I kill because it's necessary. That's a fucked up worldview. Yes. She drained her glass. What do you want from me? Lucien moved closer, close enough that she could see flecks of gold in his dark eyes. I want to know if it's possible for someone like you to see someone like me and not run. Why does that matter? Because I'm tired of being alone in rooms full of people. The vulnerability in his voice cracked something in her chest. I don't know if I can do this, she whispered. I know. I don't know if I can be with someone who... I know. Then why are we here? Lucien touched her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. Because I'd rather have one honest moment with you than a lifetime of pretending with anyone else. Serena's breath caught. Then, before she could think, before fear could override everything else, she kissed him. Lucien froze for half a second, surprise, maybe, before kissing her back. Slow, controlled, like he was memorizing every second. When they finally pulled apart, Serena was shaking. This is insane, she whispered. Yes. We barely know each other. Yes. You're a criminal. Yes. I should leave. Lucien's hand tightened slightly on her waist. But you won't. He was right. She wouldn't. Because somewhere between the Santoro wedding and this moment, Serena had crossed a line she couldn't uncross. And Lucien Moretti, dangerous, obsessive, brutally honest, had become the most terrifying and compelling thing in her life. Outside the windows, Boston glittered like broken glass. Inside, 2 people stood on the edge of something that would either destroy them both or become the only real thing either of them had ever known. And neither of them was walking away. The kiss ended, but Serena couldn't move, couldn't step back. Lucien's hand was still on her waist, warm through the thin fabric of her shirt, and the city lights behind him turned his face into planes of shadow and gold. Stay, he said. Not a command, a request. I can't. You can. Lucien, just tonight. No expectations. No. He searched for words. Just stay. Every rational part of her brain screamed to leave. Get in the elevator. Go home. Pretend this never happened. But she was so goddamn tired of being rational. Okay, she whispered. Something shifted in his expression. Relief, maybe? Or fear that mirrored her own. He led her to the living room, poured more whiskey, and they sat on opposite ends of his leather couch like teenagers afraid to touch. Outside, the harbor stretched black and infinite, dotted with lights from ships she couldn't name. Tell me something real, Serena said. Not business, not this. She gestured between them. Something true. Lucien stared into his glass. I haven't had a conversation like this in 7 years. Like what? Where I'm not calculating angles. Where I'm not 3 steps ahead, planning responses, reading threats. He glanced at her. With you, I don't know what's going to happen next. And that terrifies me. Good. You should be terrified. Why? Because I am. They sat in silence, drinking whiskey that cost more than her monthly rent, watching the city breathe below them. Around midnight, Serena fell asleep on his couch. She woke hours later, disoriented, covered with a blanket she didn't remember. Lucien sat across from her in an armchair, still dressed, reading something on his phone. The lamp beside him cast his face in warm light. What time is it? She asked. 4:30. Did you sleep? No. Why not? He looked at her. I wanted to make sure you were safe. Safe from what? We're 47 floors up. From me. He set down his phone. I wanted to make sure I didn't... A pause. I don't trust myself around you. Serena sat up, blanket pooling around her waist. You think you'd hurt me? No, I think I'd try to keep you here. And that's worse. The honesty carved something open in her chest. "Take me home," she said quietly. Lucien nodded. 20 minutes later, they were in his car, driving through empty Boston streets. Dawn hadn't broken yet. The city felt like a secret. When they reached her building, Lucien walked her to the entrance again. "Thank you," he said, "for staying, for trusting me." "I'm not sure I do. Trust you." "You shouldn't." "Then why am I here?" Lucien touched her face, gentle enough to break her heart. "Because sometimes the most dangerous thing is also the most real thing, and you're tired of pretending too." He left before she could respond. Serena stood in her lobby, watching his taillights disappear, and knew with absolute certainty that she'd just crossed a line she could never uncross. Brisette. The next 48 hours felt like walking through broken glass. Her father called 6 times. She ignored every one. Marcus showed up at her apartment unannounced Tuesday evening, face tight with fury. "You spent the night at Lucien Moretti's penthouse," he said the moment she opened the door. Serena's stomach dropped. "How do you—" "Because Carlo Benedetti has people everywhere, including the security desk at Lucien's building." Marcus pushed past her into the apartment. "What the fuck are you doing? It's none of your business. It became my business when you started sleeping with the enemy." "I didn't sleep with anyone." "You were there until 5 in the morning, Serena. Don't insult my intelligence." She slammed the door. "Even if I did, it's my life. Not when it affects the family." Marcus spun to face her. "Do you understand what you've done? Dad thinks Lucien is using you to get leverage. Carlo thinks you're a spy. The Castellanos think we're forming an alliance. Every move you make with him sends a message to people who kill over misunderstandings. Maybe I don't care about their messages. Then you're going to get yourself killed." Serena's hands shook. She shoved them in her pockets. "I left this world, Marcus. I don't owe Dad anything. I don't owe you anything. You think leaving means you're safe? You think walking away makes you invisible?" Marcus's voice cracked. "You're still Vincent Vale's daughter. That doesn't change because you got a design degree and moved to Cambridge. Then what do you want me to do?" "Stop seeing him. Tonight. Call Lucien. End it. Before someone decides you're more valuable dead than alive." "No." Marcus stared at her. "Are you fucking serious? I'm 28 years old. I make my own decisions." "Then you're making a suicidal one." He left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Serena sank onto her couch, head in her hands, trying to breathe through the panic. Her phone buzzed. "Lucien, your brother visited. I assume he's unhappy." She typed back. "That's an understatement. Do you want me to handle it?" "Handle what? My family?" "If necessary." Serena's blood went cold. She called him immediately. "What does handle it mean?" she demanded. Lucien's voice was calm. "It means I can make sure they leave you alone." "By doing what exactly?" Silence. "Lucien?" "By making it clear that you're under my protection, that threats against you are threats against me. That'll make everything worse, like, in the short term, yes. Long term, it establishes boundaries." "I don't want you establishing anything. This is my family." "A family that's putting you in danger by association. You're the one putting me in danger." The words hung between them. Then Lucien said quietly, "You're right. I am. And if you want to end this now, I'll understand." Serena closed her eyes. "I don't know what I want." "Then figure it out, because I won't keep putting you at risk if you're not sure." He hung up. She threw her phone across the room. For 3 days, Serena ignored everyone. Lucien, Marcus, her father's increasingly angry voicemails. She worked, taught her art class, pretended normalcy existed. Friday night, someone knocked on her door. She checked the peephole expecting Marcus. It was her father. Vincent Vale stood in the hallway, gray suit immaculate, face carved from stone. The last time she'd seen him up close was the Santoro wedding. Before that, 2 years. Serena opened the door. "Dad, we need to talk." She let him in because refusing felt more dangerous than compliance. Vincent surveyed her apartment with the faint distaste of someone used to wealth and power examining ordinary life. He sat on her couch without being invited. "You've made quite a mess," he said. Serena stayed standing. "I'm living my life." "You're fucking Lucien Moretti." The crudeness shocked her.
Vincent never swore, never lost composure. That's none of your business, she managed.
It became my business when Carlo Benedetti called me yesterday asking if we're forming an alliance with Moretti's organization, when the Castellanos started pulling back from negotiations because they think I'm playing both sides. Vincent's eyes, the same dark brown as hers, bored into her. Do you understand what you've done? I went on a few dates with the most dangerous man in Boston, a man who doesn't date, doesn't have relationships, doesn't do anything unless it serves his interests. Vincent leaned forward. So tell me, Serena, what interest are you serving? Maybe he just likes me. Her father laughed, bitter, cold. Lucien Moretti doesn't just like anyone. He acquires assets, and you've made yourself his newest acquisition. You don't know that. I've known men like him my entire life. Hell, I've been men like him. Vincent stood, moved closer. He's using you, whether it's to destabilize me, gain leverage with the other families, or just because he can, I don't know. But the moment you stop being useful, he'll discard you. You're wrong. Am I? Then why hasn't he made his intentions clear? Why all the secrecy? If this was genuine, he'd have approached me directly, asked permission like the old ways demand. Instead, he's sneaking around with my daughter like she's some kind of Enough, Serena's voice shook. You lost the right to have opinions about my life when I left 6 years ago. You think leaving absolves you? You're still my daughter, still a veil? That mark doesn't wash off. Then maybe I'll change my name. Vincent's face went cold. You do that, and you'll have no protection, no family, nothing. I already have nothing. You have me, Marcus. A legacy built over 3 generations. You throw that away for what? For a man who'll use you up and throw you away the moment you become inconvenient? Serena's eyes burned. Get out. Serena, I said, get out. Vincent stared at her for a long moment. Then he moved toward the door, paused with his hand on the knob. When this ends badly, he said, not looking back, don't come crying to me. The door closed. Serena stood alone in her apartment, shaking with rage and fear and something she couldn't name. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. But she knew. I heard your father visited. Of course he knew. Lucien knew everything. She called him. How? She asked when he answered. How do you always know? I told you. I hear everything. So you're spying on me now? I'm protecting you. By invading my privacy? Lucien exhaled. Serena, your father showing up at your apartment unannounced could have been a threat. Could have been intimidation. I needed to know you were safe. I'm not safe. I'm never going to be safe as long as I'm involved with you. Silence. Then, no, you're not. The honesty gutted her. Then why are we doing this? She whispered. Because I can't stop. And I don't think you can either. He was right. God help her. He was right. Come over, she said. Serena, please, I don't want to be alone right now. 30 minutes later, Lucien was at her door. He looked different, tired. The immaculate composure cracked just enough to show something human underneath. Serena pulled him inside and kissed him before words could complicate everything. This kiss was different from the first. Desperate, hungry. Like they were both drowning and the other person was air. They ended up on her couch, hands tangled in clothes and hair, breathing hard. Wait, Lucien said against her mouth. Why? Because if we do this, he pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. There's no going back. Not for me. Good. Serena, I'm serious. I don't do casual. I don't do temporary. If this happens, you're mine, completely. The possessiveness should have scared her. Instead, it ignited something fierce in her chest. Then make me yours, she whispered. Something broke in Lucien's control. What happened next wasn't gentle, wasn't tender. It was raw and desperate and honest in a way that left them both gasping. Afterward, they lay tangled in her sheets, sweat cooling on skin, the outside world temporarily forgotten. Lucien traced patterns on her shoulder. I meant what I said. About? You're mine now. I won't share you. Won't let anyone hurt you. Won't... His jaw tightened. I won't let you go. Serena should have been terrified by the intensity. But lying there in the dark with the most dangerous man in Boston holding her like she was something precious, all she felt was certainty. Okay, she said. Okay?
I'm yours. Lucien kissed her forehead, gentle, almost reverent, and Serena understood with brutal clarity that she'd just sealed her fate.
The next morning, everything changed. Serena woke to find Lucien already dressed, standing by her window, phone pressed to his ear. Don't care what it costs, find them. A pause. No, I want them alive, for now. He hung up, noticed her watching. What's wrong? She asked. Lucien's expression was carved from ice. Someone firebombed one of my warehouses last night. 3 of my men are in the hospital. Serena sat up, clutching the sheet. Who? I don't know yet, but they will pay. The coldness in his voice raised every hair on her neck. Lucien, I need to go. He moved to the bed, kissed her once, hard. Stay inside today. Don't go anywhere alone. I'll have someone watching your building. You're assigning me a bodyguard? Yes. I don't care what you want. His eyes bored into hers. You're mine now. That makes you a target, and I will not lose you because you're too stubborn to accept protection. He left before she could argue. Serena spent the day pacing her apartment, ignoring calls from Marcus, watching a black SUV parked across the street. At 7 p.m., Lucien called. It was the Castellanos, he said without preamble. Retaliation for me moving into their territory last month. What are you going to do? What I always do. Send a message. Lucien, I'm not asking for permission, Serena. I'm telling you what's going to happen. They attacked my people. I will respond. By doing what? Whatever's necessary. The line went dead. Serena stared at her phone, stomach churning. 3 hours later, the news reported an explosion at a Castellano-owned nightclub in Dorchester. No casualties, but the building was destroyed. Her phone rang immediately. Marcus. Your boyfriend just started a fucking war, he said. He's not. Don't. I know what happened last night. I know you're involved now. Marcus's voice was raw. The Castellanos are going to retaliate. Hard. And when they do, they won't care about collateral damage. What does that mean? It means you need to disappear. Tonight. I'll arrange safe passage out of Boston, maybe Montreal, somewhere they can't. I'm not running. Serena, for once in your goddamn life, listen to me. You're in danger, real danger. The kind where you end up in a trunk with a bullet in your head. Lucien won't let that happen. Lucien can't stop it. He's one man. The Castellanos have an army, and the moment they figure out the fastest way to hurt him is through you. Marcus stopped, breathed. Please, just disappear for a few weeks. Let this blow over. No. Why not? Because running meant abandoning Lucien, meant proving her father right, that she was a coward who'd bail the moment things got hard. Because I'm not leaving him, she said. Marcus was quiet for a long time. Then, you love him. She stopped. Did she? After 2 weeks? I don't know. Figure it out. Because if you stay, you need to be all in. Half measures get you killed in this world. He hung up. Serena sat in her apartment, surrounded by the quiet life she'd built, and realized she had a choice to make. Run, save herself, go back to being invisible, or stay. Accept the danger. Become part of Lucien's world completely. At midnight, she made her decision. She called Lucien. I'm not running, she said when he answered. I didn't ask you to. Marcus wants me to disappear. My father probably does too, but I'm staying. With you. Silence. Then, you understand what that means? Yes. You'll be a target. People will try to use you against me. Your life will never be normal again. I know. Serena, I'm not scared, or I am, but I'm more scared of losing you. She heard him exhale, something breaking in the sound. Come to my place, he said. Pack a bag. You're moving in until this is over. Lucien? Not negotiable. The Castellanos know where you live. I will not risk them getting to you. Part of her wanted to fight, assert independence. But the larger part, the part that was already in love with him, even if she couldn't admit it yet, just said, okay. Batum. Lucien's penthouse became her prison and sanctuary. For the next week, Serena barely left. Lucien came and went at odd hours, sometimes bloodied, always exhausted. He never told her details, just kissed her when he arrived home and held her while she slept. The war escalated. More warehouses burned. 2 Castellano lieutenants disappeared. A car bomb killed one of Lucien's captains outside his mistress's apartment. The news called it gang violence, turf wars. Serena called it hell. She tried to maintain normalcy, worked remotely, took calls with clients, pretended her boyfriend wasn't orchestrating a war from the next room. But reality kept bleeding through. One night, Lucien came home at 3 a.m. covered in someone else's blood. Serena found him in the bathroom, stripping off his shirt, hands shaking. "Don't," he said when she approached. "Don't look at me right now." "What happened?" "I did what needed to be done." "Which was?" He turned to her, eyes hollow. "You don't want the answer to that." But she did, because if she was going to be part of this, she needed to understand all of it. "Tell me," she said. Lucien stared at her. Then, "I killed 3 men tonight, personally, because they were planning to kidnap you and use you as leverage." The air left her lungs. "How do you know?" "Because I have sources inside their organization, because I intercepted their plans 12 hours before they were going to execute them." He moved closer, still covered in blood. "I shot 2 of them, strangled the 3rd with my bare hands because I wanted him to understand exactly what happens to people who threaten you." Serena should have been horrified, should have run. Instead, she reached for him. "Thank you," she whispered. Lucien's control shattered. He pulled her against him, blood and all, and kissed her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. They ended up in the shower, hot water washing away evidence, hands and mouths frantic with need and fear and something too big to name. Afterward, lying in bed while Lucien slept for the first time in days, Serena finally admitted the truth. She was in love with him, completely, irrevocably. In love with a man who killed people to protect her. And somehow, that didn't scare her anymore. The turning point came 10 days after she moved in. Serena was working in Lucien's home office when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her swipe. "Hello?" Heavy breathing, then a voice, male, accented. "Serena Vale." Ice flooded her veins. "Who is this?" "Someone who wants to help you. You're in danger." "I know I'm not from us. From him. From Lucien Moretti." Her pulse hammered. "What are you talking about?" "He's using you, drawing the Castellanos' attention. He knew we'd target you, counted on it. This whole thing, the romance, the protection, it's theater. You're bait. That's not... Ask him. Ask him if he knew the Castellanos would come after you. Ask him if he planned for it." The line went dead. Serena stood frozen, phone shaking in her hand. It wasn't true, couldn't be true, but doubt crept in like poison. She thought about the timeline, how quickly Lucien had pursued her after the wedding, how he'd known everything about her life, how conveniently the war had escalated right after they got involved. What if her father was right? What if this was all strategy? When Lucien came home that evening, she was waiting. "Did you know?" she asked before he could kiss her. He stopped. "Know what?" "That the Castellanos would target me." "Did you plan for it?" Something flickered across his face. Too quick to read. "Who told you that?" "Answer the question." Lucien set down his phone. "It's more complicated than yes or no." Silence. Then, "Yes, I knew they might." The world tilted. "You knew," she repeated. "You knew getting involved with me would paint a target on my back, and you did it anyway." "Serena, was any of it real? Or was I just, what, a convenient pawn?" Lucien moved toward her. She stepped back. "Don't," she said. "Don't touch me. Just tell me the truth. All of it." He stopped. For the first time since she'd met him, Lucien Moretti looked genuinely afraid. "When I saw you at the Santoro wedding," he said slowly, "I was drawn to you because you were real. That part was true. But," he exhaled, "but I also knew your father was weak, knew his enemies were circling, and I knew that getting close to you would create opportunities." Nausea rolled through her. Opportunities for what? To destabilize the old guard, to force them into making mistakes. Your father, the Castellanos, Carlo, they're all dinosaurs clinging to power they don't deserve. I want them gone. And you—" He stopped. "I was the catalyst," she finished. "You used me to start a war." "No, that's not—" "Then what? Explain it to me. Make it make sense." Lucien ran his hands through his hair. "When I pursued you, I knew it would cause waves. I knew your father would panic, knew the other families would start asking questions. But that wasn't why I did it. I pursued you because I wanted you. The political fallout was secondary." "Secondary," Serena repeated. "My entire life being upended was secondary. I didn't think they'd go after you this hard. I thought—" He stopped. "I made a mistake. A mistake that almost got me kidnapped. But I stopped it. I protected you. From a danger you created." Her voice echoed through the penthouse. Lucien stood there, composure cracked, looking more human than she'd ever seen him. "You're right," he said quietly. "I put you at risk. I made decisions without considering the full consequences. And I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this." "I know, but it's all I have." Serena's eyes burned. "Did you ever actually care about me? Or was I always just a strategy?" "I love you." The words hung between them. "What?" Lucien met her eyes. "I love you. I didn't plan to, didn't want to, but I do. And that terrifies me more than anything the Castellanos could ever do." Serena couldn't breathe. "You can't just—" "I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just telling you the truth." He moved closer. "I made terrible choices. Used you in ways I shouldn't have. But what I feel for you, that's real. That was never strategy." "How do I know that's not a lie, too?" "Because if this was still strategy, I'd be manipulating you right now, telling you what you want to hear. Instead, I'm standing here admitting I fucked up and praying you don't leave." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I don't know if I can trust you." "I know. I don't know if I can stay here." "I know. But I love you too, and I hate myself for it." Lucien closed the distance between them, cupped her face in his hands. "Then hate me," he whispered. "Hate me for putting you in danger, for using you, for being incapable of doing this the right way. But don't leave, please. Don't leave." Serena kissed him through tears and rage and love that felt like drowning. When they finally pulled apart, she said, "If we do this, if I stay, things change. No more secrets, no more using me for your plans. I'm either your partner or I'm gone." "Partners," Lucien said immediately. "I mean it. You don't protect me by keeping me in the dark. You protect me by telling me everything so I can protect myself. Okay? And this war ends. I don't care how, but it ends." Lucien's jaw tightened. "The Castellanos won't—" "Make them. You're Lucien Moretti. You're the most dangerous man in Boston. Find a way." He stared at her for a long moment, then nodded. "I'll end it." The next 72 hours were chaos. Lucien called meetings with every major player in Boston's underworld, forced negotiations, made offers and threats in equal measure. Serena sat beside him through most of it. The message was clear. She wasn't a weakness to exploit. She was part of his power structure now. Some of the old guards sneered. Carlo Benedetti tried to dismiss her completely. But when Lucien looked at him with those cold, dark eyes and said very quietly, "Insult her again, and I'll burn everything you own," Carlo went pale. The Castellanos were harder. They wanted blood for the nightclub, for their lost lieutenants. Lucien offered them South Boston territory in exchange for peace. They laughed in his face. So he showed them surveillance footage of their underboss meeting with federal investigators. The room went silent. Within 48 hours, a truce was brokered. The war was over. But the cost was steep. Lucien had given up territory, leverage, and alliances to make it happen. His empire was smaller, weaker. He'd sacrificed power for her safety. And Serena finally understood what love meant to a man like Lucien Moretti. The night the truce was finalized, they returned to his penthouse, exhausted. "You gave up too much," Serena said. "No, I gave up exactly enough. Your people will think you're weak. Let them." He pulled her close. "I'd burn my entire empire to the ground if it meant keeping you safe." Serena looked up at him, this dangerous, damaged man who'd started a war and ended it for her. "I'm staying," she said. "For real.
Not just until things calm down. I'm all in. Lucian's eyes closed, relief carved through his expression. Then marry me, he said. Serena's heart stopped. What? Marry me. Not someday. Not when things are stable. Now. Tomorrow. As soon as possible. Lucian, I know it's fast. I know it's insane. But I also know that every minute you're not legally mine is a minute someone can take you away. His hands framed her face. I want vows. I want your name tied to mine so completely that anyone who touches you knows exactly what they're starting. Serena should have said no, should have demanded time, demanded normal. Instead, she whispered, yes. Lucian kissed her hard enough to bruise, and Serena understood with brutal clarity that she'd just crossed the point of no return. There was no going back to Cambridge, no returning to ordinary life. She belonged to Lucian Moretti now, completely, irrevocably. And the terrifying part was, she wanted nothing else. They were married in a courthouse 3 days later. No white dress, no flowers, no gathering of families who'd probably shoot each other before the vows finished. Just Serena in a navy dress she'd bought that morning, Lucian in a black suit he'd worn to a dozen business meetings, and a judge who asked no questions when Lucian's attorney handed him an envelope thick with cash. Marcus stood as witness because Serena had called him that morning and said, I'm getting married today. You can come or not, but I wanted you to know. He'd shown up, stood in the back of the courtroom with his jaw clenched and his hands shoved in his pockets, watching his sister promise herself to the most dangerous man in Boston. Their father didn't come, didn't call. The silence said everything. When the judge pronounced them married, Lucian kissed her like they were alone, possessive, claiming. When he pulled back, his eyes held something fierce and terrified. You're mine now, he whispered against her mouth. Legally, completely. And you're mine, Serena said. Something in his expression cracked. They signed papers in a sterile office while Marcus watched from the doorway. When it was done, when Serena's signature made her Serena Moretti, she looked at her brother. Say something, she said. Marcus stared at her for a long moment, then, I hope you know what you're doing. I don't, but I'm doing it anyway. He left without another word. Lucian's hand found hers, fingers lacing tight. Regret it yet? He asked quietly. Ask me in 20 years. They went back to the penthouse. Lucian made calls while Serena stood by the window watching the harbor, touching the plain gold band on her finger. She was married. To Lucian Moretti, the man who'd started a war for her, ended it for her, given up territory and power to keep her breathing. Her phone buzzed, a text from a number she didn't recognize. Congratulations on the wedding. Shame about what comes next. Ice flooded her veins. She showed Lucien. His expression went cold. It's a bluff. You sure? The truce is solid. The Castellanos agreed. Carlo signed the papers himself. Then who? Someone trying to scare you. He pulled her close. Ignore it. But Serena couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. The first week of marriage was almost normal. Lucien still disappeared for hours, still came home with blood under his fingernails sometimes, but he also came home. Made dinner with her, fell asleep holding her like she might vanish if he let go. Serena started learning the business. Not the violence, Lucian kept that part separate, but the logistics. The shipping routes, the distribution networks, the legitimate fronts that funded everything illegal. You wanted to be partners, he said one night, spreadsheets open on his laptop. This is partnership. She learned fast, faster than he expected. Within 2 weeks, she'd identified 3 inefficiencies in his operation and proposed solutions that would save him 6 figures annually. Lucian looked at her like she'd just performed magic. You're terrifying, he said. Good. Now you know how I feel about you. He kissed her across the dining table, laptop forgotten. But the peace didn't last. 3 weeks after the wedding, everything shattered. Buzz swung. It started with a phone call at 2 a.m. Lucien's phone buzzed. He answered immediately, voice sharp with sleep and adrenaline. What? Serena watched his face change, color draining, jaw tightening. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. I'm on my way. He was out of bed before the call ended, pulling on clothes with violent efficiency. What happened? Serena asked. The warehouse in Southie. Someone hit it.
3 of my men are dead. Her stomach dropped. I thought the truce. So did I. He grabbed his gun from the bedside safe. Stay here. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me. Lucienne, I mean it, Serena. Stay. Here. He left. Serena sat in the dark penthouse, heart hammering, waiting. He didn't come back for 6 hours. When he finally walked through the door, he looked like he'd aged a decade. Exhausted. Furious. Something else underneath she couldn't name. What happened? She asked. Lucienne poured whiskey, drained it, poured another. It wasn't the Castellanos. Then who? I don't know. Whoever hit us knew our security protocols, knew which warehouse held the most valuable inventory, knew exactly when the guard shift changed. He drank again. It was someone on the inside. Horror crawled up Serena's spine. You think you have a traitor? I know I do. I just don't know who. For the next week, paranoia consumed everything. Lucien interrogated his own people, implemented new security measures, trusted no one. Serena watched him unravel slowly, the control he'd maintained for years fraying at the edges. She tried to help, reviewed personnel files, cross-referenced schedules, and found something. Lucien, she said one night, laptop open. Look at this. He moved behind her chair, reading over her shoulder. Thomas Reeves, she said, pointing at the screen. You're head of security for the Southie warehouse. He's been with you for 3 years, right? Yes. He called in sick the night of the attack. First sick day in his entire employment history. Lucien went very still. Pull his financials, he said quietly. It took 2 hours and several illegal database searches, but they found it. Thomas Reeves had deposited $50,000 into his account 2 days before the attack. Lucien's hands curled into fists. Where is he now? Home, I think. His shift doesn't start until... Lucien was already moving, grabbing his coat, his gun. Wait, Serena said. What are you going to do? What I should have done the moment I suspected. Lucien, if you're wrong, I'm not wrong. He turned to her, eyes cold. Stay here. No. Serena, I said no. If you're doing this, I'm coming with you. Partners, remember? Something flickered across his face. Fear, maybe, or pride. This won't be pleasant. I don't care. They drove to Thomas Reeves' apartment in Dorchester in silence. The building was a shitty 3-story walk-up, paint peeling, stairs creaking. They climbed to the 2nd floor. Lucien knocked. No answer. He knocked again. Thomas? I know you're in there. Movement inside. Then the door cracked open, chain still attached. Thomas Reeves looked like he hadn't slept in days. 30s, muscular, scared. Mr. Moretti, he said, I wasn't expecting... Lucien shot the chain off the door. The sound was deafening in the narrow hallway. Thomas stumbled backward, hands up. Wait, I can explain... Lucien walked in. Serena followed, heart hammering. The apartment was sparse, mostly empty, like someone planning to run. Who paid you? Lucien asked. Voice calm, too calm. I don't... Lucien grabbed Thomas by the throat, slammed him against the wall hard enough to crack plaster. Who paid you? Thomas choked, gasping. I can't. They'll kill me. I'll kill you, right now, unless you tell me who hired you to betray me. Serena stood frozen by the door, watching her husband become someone she barely recognized. Please, Thomas gasped. I didn't have a choice. Everyone has a choice. They have my sister. They said if I didn't help them, they'd... Lucien's grip tightened. Who? Thomas's face was turning purple. Lucien, Serena said quietly. Let him breathe. For a moment she thought he wouldn't. Thought she was about to watch him kill a man in front of her. Then Lucien released him. Thomas collapsed, coughing, gasping. Talk, Lucien said. Now. Thomas's hands shook. Carlo Benedetti. He approached me 6 months ago. Said he was planning something big. Needed inside information. I told him no. Then last month, my sister disappeared. He sent me photos. His voice broke. Photos of what they'd done to her. Said if I didn't cooperate, they'd do worse. Lucien's expression went blank. Carlo Benedetti has been planning this for 6 months. Yes. What else did you give him? Everything. Security codes, shipment schedules, personnel files. Thomas looked up, tears streaming. I'm sorry. I didn't want to, but she's my sister. Where is she now? I don't know. He said once the job was done, he'd release her. Lucien laughed, bitter, cold. You actually believe that? Thomas's face crumpled. She's already dead, Lucien said flatly. Probably died weeks ago. They just kept sending you old photos to keep you compliant. No. Yes. Lucien pulled his gun. And now you're going to tell me everything Carlo is planning, every single detail, and then I'm going to decide whether to kill you quickly or slowly. Thomas talked for 20 minutes. By the time he finished, Serena's blood had turned to ice. Carlo Benedetti hadn't accepted the truce, had never planned to. He'd been using the peace to position his people, gather intelligence, wait for the perfect moment to strike. And the target wasn't just Lucien's organization, it was Lucien himself. Carlo had planned an assassination, public, brutal, designed to humiliate before killing. The hit was scheduled for tomorrow night at the Harborside Hotel, during a charity gala Lucien was contractually obligated to attend. How many shooters? Lucien asked. 4 plus support. They'll have the exits blocked. You won't make it out alive. Lucien was quiet for a long moment. Then he shot Thomas Reeves twice in the chest. The sound was deafening. Final. Thomas slumped against the wall, blood spreading across his shirt, eyes already empty. Serena couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Lucien holstered his gun, turned to her. We need to go. He betrayed me. Got 3 of my men killed, and he would have testified if we'd let him live. Lucien's voice was steady, calm, like he'd just filed paperwork instead of executed a man. This is who I am, Serena. I told you that. She knew, she'd known, but knowing and witnessing were different. They left Thomas Reeves bleeding out in his apartment and drove back to the penthouse in silence. That night, Serena couldn't sleep. She kept seeing Thomas's face, the fear, the desperation, the moment life left his eyes. Lucien held her in the dark, saying nothing. Finally, she whispered, Does it get easier? No. How do you live with it? By remembering why I did it. By knowing that mercy in this world is just slow suicide. His arms tightened around her. I'm sorry you had to see that. I asked to come. I should have said no. Serena turned to face him. In the dim light from the windows, his face was all shadows. What are we going to do about tomorrow? She asked. I'll handle it. How? By not going to the gala. You said you're contractually obligated. Fuck the contract. I'm not walking into an ambush. Then Carlo wins. He'll spread the word that you're scared, that you're hiding. Your reputation, I don't care about my reputation. I care about staying alive. Serena sat up. There has to be another way. There isn't. What if... She stopped, mind racing. What if we turn it around, use the ambush against them? Lucien studied her. What are you thinking? Carlo expects you to show up unprepared, expects you to walk into his trap. But we know it's coming. We know the plan, so we... She paused, working through it. We make it look like you're walking into the trap, but you're actually setting one. That's insane. So is everything else we've done. Lucien was quiet, considering. Then, it would require perfect timing, perfect execution, one mistake, and we're both dead. Both? Serena's stomach dropped. I'm not going. Yes, you are. If I show up alone, Carlo will know something's wrong. But if I show up with my new wife... His eyes held hers. Then it looks normal. Expected. Lucien, no. This is the only way. We go together. We look unsuspecting. And when Carlo makes his move, we're ready. This is suicide. It's survival. He cupped her face. I won't let anything happen to you. I promise. You can't promise that. Watch me. They spent the next day planning. Lucien called in every favor he had, positioned his most trusted men, the ones Thomas Reeves had never met, never compromised, in strategic locations around the hotel. Arranged for body armor thin enough to hide under formal wear. Rehearsed exit routes until Serena could navigate them blindfolded. By sunset, she was exhausted, terrified, but ready. You don't have to do this, Lucien said as she zipped herself into a black evening gown. I can still go alone. No, we're in this together. He kissed her, gentle, like it might be the last time. I love you, he said. I love you too. So don't get us killed. I'll do my best. Kiss. The Harborside Hotel was everything wealth and pretension could buy. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, waiters circulating with champagne that cost more than most people's rent. Serena walked in on Lucian's arm, smiling for cameras, playing the role of devoted new wife. Inside, she was counting exits, scanning faces, looking for threats. Lucien's hand stayed on the small of her back, steady, grounding. They made it through cocktail hour without incident. Dinner was torture. Serena pushed food around her plate, hyper-aware of every person who walked past their table, every server who got too close. Lucien maintained perfect composure, laughed at jokes, made small talk, gave no indication that he knew death was circling. Then, during dessert, Carlo Benedetti arrived. He walked into the ballroom like he owned it, flanked by two men Serena recognized from her father's old organization. Her pulse spiked. Carlo spotted them immediately, smiled, started walking over. "Here we go," Lucien nourished and murmured. Carlo reached their table, all teeth and false warmth. "Lucien, and the beautiful new Mrs. Moretti, congratulations on the marriage." "Carlo," Lucien said evenly, "didn't expect to see you here. Charity event, can't miss it." Carlo's eyes glittered. "Especially when old friends are attending." The word friends dripped with venom. "Well, don't let us keep you," Lucien said. Carlo leaned in, voice dropping so only they could hear. "Enjoy your last evening together. I hear honeymoons are always magical." He walked away. Serena's hands shook. She clasped them in her lap. "He knows we know," she whispered. "Good. Let him think he has the upper hand." 20 minutes later, the lights dimmed for speeches. That's when everything went to hell. 4 men in server uniforms moved simultaneously toward their table. Lucien grabbed Serena's wrist. "Now!" They were up and moving before the first shot was fired. Glass shattered. Someone screamed. Lucien pulled her behind a marble column as bullets chewed into the wall where they'd been standing. Chaos erupted, guests scrambling, security shouting. "This way," Lucien said, dragging her toward the service entrance they'd scouted earlier. They made it 10 feet before one of the shooters stepped into their path. Young, maybe 25, gun raised. Lucien shot him twice before Serena could process what was happening. The body hit the floor. Lucien kept moving. They burst through the service door into a concrete stairwell. Footsteps pounded behind them. "Up or down?" Serena gasped. "Up. Roof access." They climbed, lungs burning, Lucien's men supposed to be waiting on the roof with an extraction. They made it to the top floor. Lucien kicked open the roof access door and stopped dead. The roof was empty. No extraction team. No helicopter. Nothing. "Fuck," Lucien breathed. Behind them, the stairwell door burst open. 3 men with guns. Lucien shoved Serena behind him, raised his own weapon. But before he could fire, a voice echoed across the roof. "I wouldn't!" Carlo Benedetti stepped out of the shadows, gun pointed directly at Lucien's head. And beside him, Serena's breath stopped. Her brother Marcus stood next to Carlo, face carved from stone, holding a gun of his own. "Marcus?" Her voice broke. "What are you—" "I'm sorry," Marcus said. And he sounded like he meant it. "But this has to happen." Lucien's expression went blank. "You." "Me," Marcus confirmed. "I've been working with Carlo for 8 months. Since before the Santoro wedding. Since before you ever noticed my sister." The world tilted. "You set this up," Serena whispered. "You, all of it." "Not all of it. Lucien pursuing you was genuine, but everything after—" Marcus's jaw tightened. "I made sure you two kept getting pushed together, made sure the conflicts escalated, made sure Lucien felt desperate enough to give up territory, weaken himself, all to protect you." Lucien's gun stayed trained on Carlo, but his eyes cut to Marcus. "Why?" "Because my father is dying. Cancer. 6 months, maybe less. And he wanted to secure the family's position before he goes." Marcus's voice was flat. "The plan was always to destabilize you, make you vulnerable. And then," he gestured to the roof, "finish it." "By using your own sister as bait," Lucien said coldly. "By using the one thing that could make you weak." Marcus looked at Serena. "I knew you'd fall for him. I knew he'd fall for you. And I knew that love would destroy him." Tears streamed down Serena's face. "You betrayed me. I protected the family. That's what Vals do." "Fuck the family," her voice cracked. "I'm your sister. And Dad is dying. This was the only way." Carlo smiled. "Touching family reunion.
But we're on a schedule. He cocked his gun. Lucien Moretti, you've been tried in absentia by the Council of Families, found guilty of overreach, destabilization, and violation of the truce. Sentence is death. The truce you never intended to honor, Lucien said. Details. Carlo's finger moved to the trigger. Serena stepped in front of Lucien. No, she said. Carlo's expression flickered. Move, girl. No. Serena, Lucien said behind her, don't. If you want to kill him, you kill me first. Marcus's face went pale. Serena, get out of the way. No, you want to protect the family? I'm family. You shoot him, you shoot me. She's bluffing, Carlo said. I'm not. Serena's voice steadied. I'm his wife. Legally. Completely. His enemies are my enemies. His fate is my fate. She looked at her brother. So if you pull that trigger, Marcus, you better be prepared to explain to our dying father how you murdered his only daughter. Silence stretched across the roof. Wind whipped at Serena's dress. Behind her, she felt Lucien's hand grip her waist. Marcus's gun wavered. Move, he said, but there was no conviction in it. No. Serena, please. You did this. You put me here. You used me. Her voice broke. So now you get to live with the consequences. Either you let us walk away or you kill your own sister. Choose. Marcus looked at Carlo. Carlo's expression was stone. She's a loose end. She knows too much. She's my sister. She's leverage. Always has been. Carlo turned his gun toward Serena. Sorry, sweetheart. Nothing personal. Everything happened at once. Lucien moved faster than Serena thought possible, yanking her down as he fired. Carlo jerked backward, blood blooming across his shoulder. His shot went wild, shattering a skylight. Marcus's gun came up. And then gunfire erupted from the stairwell. Lucien's men, late but present, storming the roof. The next 30 seconds were chaos. Bullets, shouting, bodies hitting concrete. When the smoke cleared, Carlo was down. Not dead, but bleeding badly. 2 of his men were dead. The third was running for the fire escape. And Marcus stood frozen, gun still raised, aimed at nothing. Lucien's weapon was pointed at his head. Give me one reason, Lucien said quietly, not to kill you right now. Marcus looked at Serena, just looked at her. I don't have one, he said. Serena stood on shaking legs. Her dress was torn. Her ears rang from gunfire. She walked over to her brother and slapped him so hard his head snapped sideways. You son of a bitch, she said. You used me. You put me in his path like I was a chess piece. You betrayed everything. I know. You don't get to just... Her voice broke. I loved you. I trusted you. I know. Marcus's eyes were hollow. And I'm sorry, but it doesn't change anything. Dad is dying. The family needs... I don't care what the family needs, Serena screamed. I am not a tool for you to use. Lucien stepped forward. Final offer. Tell me where your father is. Tell me who else was involved in this. And I'll let you walk off this roof alive. Marcus smiled, bitter, broken. And then what? I go into hiding? Spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder? You'll hunt me forever. Yes. Then just do it. Pull the trigger, because I'm not giving you my father. Lucien's finger tightened. Wait, Serena said. Both men looked at her. Let him go, she said. Serena, I mean it. Let him walk away. He's my brother. My only family left besides Dad. I don't want his blood on your hands. On our hands. Lucien stared at her like she'd lost her mind. He tried to have us both killed. I know. And I'll never forgive him. But I won't be responsible for his death either. She met Marcus's eyes. You get one chance. You walk away. You disappear. You never contact me. Never come near us again. And if I ever see you, if you ever threaten Lucien or me or anyone we care about, I will kill you myself. Understand? Marcus nodded slowly. Lucien lowered his gun. Marcus backed toward the fire escape, never taking his eyes off them. At the edge, he paused. For what it's worth, I really am sorry. Then he was gone. Serena collapsed against Lucien, adrenaline crashing, sobs tearing out of her chest. He held her while sirens wailed in the distance, while his men secured the roof, while paramedics arrived for Carlo, who'd probably survived to stand trial for attempted murder. It's over, Lucien murmured into her hair. You're safe. We're safe. But Serena knew better. It wasn't over. Her brother was in the wind, her father was dying, and she'd just learned that her entire relationship with Lucien had been manipulated from the beginning. Not by him, but by her own family. Everything she'd thought was real was tainted. Everything she'd believed was a lie. And the man she'd married, the man holding her now, was the only honest thing left in her world, which terrified her more than any bullet ever could. Because if this was honesty, violence and blood and betrayal wrapped in love, then what the hell had her whole life been? She pulled back, looked up at Lucien through tears. I need to know something, she said. Anything. If you'd known, from the beginning, that my brother was using me to get to you, would you still have pursued me? Lucien was quiet for a long moment. Then, yes, because even if the circumstances were manipulated, what I feel for you isn't, and I'd rather have you and all the complications than exist in this world alone. It should have been romantic. Instead, it felt like a life sentence. Serena kissed him anyway, hard, desperate, like she was trying to convince herself that this, them, was worth everything they'd lost. When they finally pulled apart, Lucien's phone was ringing. He answered, listened. His face went blank. What? Serena asked when he hung up. Your father... He just checked himself into a hospice facility downtown. Lucien's eyes met hers. He's asking to see you. Serena's world spun. Her father, dying, asking for her after everything, after using her, after sicking her brother on Lucien, after treating her like a commodity. I'm not going, she said. Serena, he's dying. Good. He should die alone knowing his plan failed. You don't mean that. Don't I? She laughed, bitter. He let Marcus use me, probably ordered it. You think I owe him a deathbed reconciliation? Lucien cupped her face. I think you'll regret it if you don't go. I think 20 years from now you'll wonder what he would have said, and that wondering will eat you alive. Damn him for being right. Will you come with me, she whispered, to visit your father, the man who tried to have me killed? Yes. Lucien smiled, sad, exhausted. Of course. They left the roof together, stepping over blood and brass casings, walking away from the wreckage of the life Serena used to know. And towards something worse, because facing her dying father meant confronting every lie, every manipulation, every moment her family had treated her like a pawn instead of a person. It meant looking into the eyes of the man who'd raised her and seen a stranger. It meant accepting that love, real love, the kind she had with Lucien, came at a cost her family had never been willing to pay. And it meant choosing, once and for all, which world she belonged to, the one she'd been born into, or the one she'd married into. There was no middle ground anymore. Not after tonight, not after everything. Serena took Lucien's hand as they walked toward the stairwell, and knew with brutal certainty whatever came next would break her completely, or forge her into something strong enough to survive the wreckage. Either way, the woman who'd walked into the Santoro wedding 3 months ago was gone. And whoever she became on the other side of this, that person would be born in blood and pain and choices no one should ever have to make. The elevator doors closed, and Serena descended into whatever hell awaited below. The hospice facility smelled like disinfectant and death. Serena walked through corridors painted institutional beige, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, every step feeling like walking toward an execution. Lucien stayed close, his hand on the small of her back, silent support in a place where words would have been useless. A nurse led them to room 307, knocked softly, opened the door. Vincent Vale sat propped against pillows, oxygen tubes in his nose, skin the color of old newspaper. He'd lost 30 pounds since the Santoro wedding, maybe more. The man who'd commanded fear through presence alone now looked like a strong wind could scatter him. But his eyes, those were still sharp, still calculating. Serena, he said, voice thin but steady. She stopped in the doorway. Dad. Vincent's gaze shifted to Lucien. Something flickered across his face. Not quite hatred. More like resignation. Moretti, he said. Vincent. Come to gloat? No, I came because your daughter asked me to. Vincent's attention returned to Serena. You brought him. To my deathbed. He's my husband, she said flatly. Where I go, he goes. A ghost of a smile touched Vincent's lips. You always were stubborn. Learned from the best.
Silence stretched between them. The heart monitor beeped steady rhythm. Outside, Boston stretched gray and cold under October clouds. Finally, Serena moved into the room, sat in the chair beside the bed. Lucian stayed standing by the door, giving them space but not leaving. Marcus told me what happened at the hotel, Vincent said. Serena's jaw tightened. You knew about the plan. I sanctioned it. The admission was a slap. Even expecting it, hearing him say it out loud carved something open in her chest. You used me, she whispered. Your own daughter. I used an opportunity. There's a difference. No, there isn't. Vincent coughed, wet, rattling. When he recovered, blood flecked his lips. You were always too soft for this world, too idealistic. You thought walking away meant you were free, but veil blood doesn't wash off, Serena. I was trying to teach you that. By having Marcus push me toward Lucian? By treating me like bait? By showing you that love makes you weak, that caring about someone gives them power over you. Vincent's eyes cut to Lucian. Look at him. Most dangerous man in Boston, and one threat to you and he crumbled, gave up territory, made peace with enemies, all because you existed. That's not weakness, Serena said. That's us. It's exactly weakness. In this world, anything you love can be used against you. I learned that when your mother died. Marcus learned it watching me. And you, he coughed again, you were supposed to learn it before it got you killed. Serena stood abruptly. I'm leaving. Sit down. No, I came here because I thought, her voice cracked. I thought maybe you'd apologize. Maybe you'd show one shred of humanity before you died. But you're still the same manipulative bastard you've always been. Sit down, command in his voice, despite the oxygen tubes, despite the cancer eating him alive. Serena sat, hated herself for it, but sat. Vincent's expression softened almost imperceptibly. You want an apology? Fine. I'm sorry you got hurt in the crossfire. I'm sorry Marcus's plan failed. I'm sorry you married a man who'll get you killed eventually. He paused. But I'm not sorry for trying to protect the family. That's what veils do. I'm not a veil anymore, Serena said quietly. I'm a Moretti. Something broke in Vincent's face. Then I have nothing left, he whispered. Serena's eyes burned. You did this. You pushed me away. You used me. You chose the family over... She stopped, breathed. You chose everything over me. So yeah, you have nothing left. And that's on you. Vincent stared at her for a long moment. Then his gaze shifted to Lucien. Take care of her, he said. Lucien moved closer. I will. No, you don't understand. Vincent's voice hardened. Marcus will come for you. Maybe not today, maybe not this year. But he will come. And when he does, he'll use her to destroy you. So you need to be ready to make a choice. What choice? Her or your empire? Because you can't protect both. Lucien's expression went cold. Watch me. Vincent laughed, bitter, knowing. I said the same thing once, about Serena's mother, about keeping her safe while maintaining power. His eyes glistened. I failed, and it killed her. Learn from my mistakes, Moretti. Sometimes the only way to protect what you love is to let it go. Not happening, Lucien said flatly. Then you're a fool. Maybe, but I'm her fool. Vincent looked at Serena. You really love him? Yes. Even knowing what he is? What he'll always be? Especially knowing. Vincent closed his eyes. Then I failed you completely. Serena felt something crack in her chest. This was it. The last conversation with her father, and it was ending in mutual disappointment and broken hearts. She stood, moved to the door. Serena, Vincent called. She paused, didn't turn. I did love you, he said quietly. In my own fucked up way. I just loved the family more. Serena's hands curled into fists. I know. She left without looking back. Lucien followed her into the hallway, into the elevator, into the parking garage. She didn't cry, didn't speak, just got in the car and stared out the window while he drove. Halfway back to the penthouse, her phone rang. Marcus. She almost didn't answer, but something made her swipe. What? He's dying, Marcus said. No preamble. Tonight, Maybe tomorrow. The doctor said, his voice cracked. I thought you should know. I just saw him. I know. I'm here now. At the hospice. A pause. He asked about you. After you left. What did he say? That he hoped you'd be happy. That he hoped Moretti was worth it. Marcus exhaled shakily. And that he was proud of you for choosing yourself instead of the family. Tears blurred Serena's vision. He never said that to my face, she whispered. He never says what he means until it's too late. You know that. Silence stretched between them. Then Serena said, I meant what I said on the roof. You come near us again, I'll kill you myself. I know. Where are you going? After he dies? Away, far enough that you'll never have to look over your shoulder. Good. Serena, Marcus stopped. I'm sorry for all of it. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I am. Yeah, me too. She hung up. Lucien glanced at her. You okay? No, but I will be. They drove the rest of the way in silence. Vincent Vale died 3 days later. Serena didn't attend the funeral. Neither did Lucien. They watched from a distance, a car parked 2 blocks from the cemetery, binoculars trained on the graveside service. Marcus was there, looking hollow, alone. The old guard showed up. Carlo Benedetti, out on bail, arm in a sling, other families paying respects or confirming the power vacuum. This is going to get ugly, Lucien said, watching through the binoculars. Without Vincent holding things together, the Vale's territory will fracture. Carlo will make a move. The Castellanos, maybe others. Let them, Serena said. Not our problem. Lucien lowered the binoculars. It becomes our problem when they start eyeing my territory. Then we deal with it, together. He smiled, small, genuine. Together. They left before the service ended. That night, Serena stood on the penthouse balcony, watching the city lights, thinking about her father, about Marcus, about the family she'd lost and the one she'd chosen. Lucien joined her, handed her whiskey. Regret it? He asked. Which part? Any of it. Serena sipped her drink. I regret that my family used me. I regret that my brother chose them over me. I regret that my father died without ever really knowing me. She looked at Lucien. But I don't regret you. He kissed her, soft, sweet. When they pulled apart, his phone rang. He checked the screen, frowned. Who is it? Serena asked. Unknown, he answered. Yes? Serena watched his expression change, confusion, then fury. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. I'm on my way. He hung up, already moving toward the door. What happened? Serena demanded. The warehouse in Charlestown. Someone hit it, took everything, burned it to the ground. Her stomach dropped. Who? I don't know, but it's the 3rd one this week. Lucien grabbed his gun, his jacket. Someone's making a move, and they're doing it while I'm distracted. I'm coming with you. No, stay here. It's not safe. We're partners, remember? I'm coming. Lucien looked like he wanted to argue, but he just nodded. They drove to Charlestown through late-night traffic, Serena's pulse hammering the entire way. The warehouse was an inferno. Fire trucks surrounded it, water arcing into flames that reached 50 feet high. Police had the area cordoned off. Lucien parked a block away. They approached on foot. One of his men, Daniel, head of the Charlestown operation, met them at the perimeter. How bad? Lucien asked. Total loss. Inventory, equipment, everything. They hit us during shift change, killed 2 guards, took the rest hostage, cleaned us out, then torched the building. Hostages? Released an hour ago, shaken but alive. Did they see who did this? Daniel's expression went dark. Yeah, they saw. Who? The Castellanos. Led by... He stopped, looked at Serena. Led by Marcus Vale. The world tilted. Serena's voice came out strangled. What? I'm sorry, Mrs. Moretti, but the hostages were clear. Your brother was there, gave orders, seemed to be running the operation. Lucien's hand found hers, squeezed. Are you sure? She managed. Positive. One of the guards recognized him from old family photos. Serena felt like she was drowning.
He said he was leaving. He said he'd disappear. He lied, Lucien said quietly. Or he changed his mind. Why would he do this? Because your father's dead. The Vales' territory is up for grabs, and Marcus knows the only way to claim it is to take me down first. Serena turned to him. This is my fault. I let him walk away. I should have... You should have what? Killed your own brother? Lucien cupped her face. You made the choice you could live with. That's not a mistake. It is if it gets you killed. I'm not that easy to kill. Daniel cleared his throat. Sir, there's something else. Lucien turned. What? The hostages said Marcus left a message. Said to tell you... Daniel hesitated. Said to tell you this is just the beginning, that he's coming for everything you have, and that you'll never see him coming. Lucien's expression went blank. The calm before violence. How many warehouses do I still have? He asked. 5, plus the shipping operation and the downtown fronts. Pull everyone back. Triple security on all locations. I want eyes on every entrance, every street, every goddamn alley, and I want every resource we have focused on finding Marcus Vale. Yes, sir. Daniel left. Serena stared at the burning warehouse. He's going to destroy you. He's going to try. Lucien, he knows everything. Your security, your operations, your weaknesses. He spent months setting this up. I know. Then how do we stop him? Lucien was quiet for a long moment, watching the flames. Then, we don't stop him. We let him come. And when he does, we end this. Permanently. You mean kill him? Yes. Serena's throat tightened. He's my brother. He's also trying to destroy us. Both of us. Lucien turned to her. I know what I'm asking. I know it's not fair. But if we don't stop Marcus now, he won't stop until one of us is dead. And I won't let it be you. Tears burned her eyes. There has to be another way. If you find one, I'm listening. But right now he's hitting us hard and fast. 3 warehouses in a week. God knows what's next. We're bleeding resources, territory, credibility. Every day we don't respond is a day we look weak. So what do you want to do? I want to find him, bring him in, make him understand that this path ends in his death. Lucien's voice softened. And I want you to be ready for what that means. Because when the time comes, I won't hesitate. Even for you. The honesty was brutal, but Serena understood. This was war, and in war, there were no half measures. Okay, she whispered. Okay? Find him. Do what you have to do. She met his eyes. But I want to be there. When it happens. I want to look him in the eye and give him one last chance to walk away. And if he doesn't take it, Serena's hands curled into fists. Then I'll pull the trigger myself. For the next week they hunted. Lucien's network spanned the entire city. Informants, surveillance, people who owed favors. He called them all in, focused every resource on finding Marcus. Serena worked alongside him, learned how to read intelligence reports, how to cross-reference sightings, how to think like someone on the run. It was exhausting, terrifying, and somehow, in the midst of it, she felt more alive than she had in years, because this wasn't her father's world anymore. It wasn't the family she'd been born into. This was her choice, her fight, and she was done being a pawn. The break came on day 8. One of Lucien's informants spotted Marcus in Quincy, meeting with known Castellano associates. They were planning something, couldn't tell what, but it involved heavy weapons and a timeline of 48 hours. He's going to hit us again, Lucien said, studying the surveillance photos. Something big. What do you have that's worth a major assault? Serena asked. Lucien's expression darkened. The shipping operation. It's the heart of everything. Take that out, and I lose half my revenue stream. Where is it? Seaport, warehouse complex near the docks. How many men do you have guarding it? 15, maybe 20 if I pull from other locations. Pull them, all of them, make it a fortress. Lucien looked at her. And leave everywhere else vulnerable? Marcus wants the shipping operation. That's where he'll hit. So we make it impossible. We stack the deck so heavily in our favor that he can't win. And if I'm wrong, if he hits somewhere else, you're not wrong. I know my brother. He goes big or goes home, and the shipping operation is the biggest target you have. Lucien studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, we make our stand there.
They spent the next 24 hours fortifying.
Lucien pulled every available man, 37 total, armed them with automatic weapons, body armor, the works, set up kill zones, sniper positions, escape routes. Serena insisted on being there too. Absolutely not, Lucien said when she told him. Not negotiable. Serena, it's going to be a war zone. Then teach me how to shoot. He stared at her. You've never fired a gun in your life. So teach me, now.
They went to the basement range in the shipping warehouse. Lucien handed her a Glock, showed her the basics. Stance, grip, sight alignment, breath control. Serena fired her first shot, missed the target by 3 feet, fired again, closer. By the 50th round, she was grouping shots center mass. You're a natural, Lucien said, something like pride in his voice. Or terrified enough to focus. That works too. They went back upstairs. Lucien's men were in position, waiting. Night fell over the seaport. Serena sat in the makeshift command center, a converted office with monitors showing every angle of the warehouse complex. Lucien stood beside her, phone in hand, coordinating final preparations. At 11 p.m., movement registered on the perimeter cameras. 3 vans. Black. No plates. They parked a block away. Men poured out. 20, maybe 25. All armed. And leading them, Marcus. Serena's breath caught. On the monitor, her brother looked different, harder, like something had broken inside him and sharp edges remained. Here we go, Lucien murmured. He keyed his radio. All positions. They're coming. Hold fire until they breach the perimeter, then light them up. Acknowledgements crackled back. Serena watched the monitors as Marcus's team approached. They moved professionally, covered angles, communicated with hand signals. They reached the warehouse fence, cut through it, slipped inside the complex. Lucien waited, calm, patient. Marcus's team reached the main warehouse door, set charges, blew it open, rushed inside. Now, Lucien said into the radio. Gunfire erupted. The monitors showed chaos, muzzle flashes, men diving for cover, bullets chewing through walls and equipment. Marcus's team was pinned immediately. Lucien's men had every angle covered, but Marcus had planned for this. Smoke grenades deployed, thick gray clouds filled the warehouse. Visibility dropped to nothing. Fuck, Lucien breathed. He's going for the shipping containers. Daniel, west entrance. The radio crackled, screaming, then nothing. Daniel? Lucien's voice sharpened. Daniel, report. Silence. On the monitors, figures moved through smoke. Impossible to tell friend from foe. Then an explosion rocked the building. The monitors went dark. Emergency lights kicked on, dim red. Lucien grabbed Serena's arm. We need to move, now! They ran. Out of the office, down a corridor, heading for the south exit. Behind them, footsteps. Shouts. They burst through a fire door into the shipping yard. Cold October wind, smell of salt water and diesel. Serena's heart hammered against her ribs. This way, Lucien said, pulling her toward a line of containers. They made it 10 feet before a voice stopped them. Lucien! They turned. Marcus stood 20 feet away, gun raised. Behind him, 4 of his men, also armed. Lucien's hand went to his weapon. Don't, Marcus said. You're outgunned. So shoot. I'd rather talk. Lucien's expression was ice. We're past talking. Are we? Marcus's eyes shifted to Serena. You brought her to a gunfight. What kind of husband does that? The kind who respects his wife enough to let her make her own choices, Serena said. Her voice shook but held. Which is more than you ever did. Marcus's jaw tightened. I gave you a choice. At the hotel. I could have killed you both. I didn't. You let us live so you could torture us later. Don't pretend it was mercy. It was mercy. More than Dad would have given. More than you deserve after choosing him over family. Serena stepped forward, ignoring Lucien's warning hand. You don't get to talk about family. You used me, manipulated me, tried to have us both killed. That's not family, Marcus. That's just cruelty. I did what had to be done. No, you did what Dad would have done. And look where it got him. Dying alone, abandoned by everyone who mattered. Something flickered across Marcus's face. Pain, maybe. This doesn't have to end in blood, he said. Walk away, Lucien. Give me Boston. Take Serena and disappear. I'll let you live. Lucien laughed, cold, humorless. You actually think I'd run? I think you love her enough to try. You're right. I do love her. Which is exactly why I'm not running. Because if I leave, you'll never stop hunting us. And I won't spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, waiting for you to take her from me. Then we're at an impasse. No, Lucien said quietly. We're at an ending. He moved faster than Serena thought possible. Gun up, firing. Marcus dove behind a container. His men returned fire. Lucien grabbed Serena, pulled her behind a shipping crate. Bullets sparked off metal, ricocheted, whined past their heads. Stay down, Lucien said. He returned fire, controlled bursts, covering their position. Serena's hands shook. She pulled the Glock from her jacket, checked the chamber like Lucien had taught her. More gunfire, shouting. Then, silence. Serena risked a glance around the crate. 2 of Marcus's men were down, not moving. The other 2 had retreated behind cover. Marcus was gone. Where is he? Lucien muttered, scanning the yard. Movement. Behind them. Serena spun. Marcus had flanked them, gun aimed directly at Lucien's head. Drop it, Marcus said. Lucien didn't move. I said drop it. Shoot me, Lucien said calmly, but know that the second you do, every resource I have will hunt you to the ends of the earth. You'll never sleep again, never feel safe. And when they find you, and they will, your death will take days. Marcus's hand trembled. You think I'm scared of you? I think you're terrified. Because you know I'm telling the truth. Serena stood slowly, raised her own gun, aimed it at her brother. Marcus's eyes widened. Serena, put it down, she said, voice steady despite the terror coursing through her. You won't shoot me. Try me. I'm your brother. You were my brother. Now you're just a man trying to kill my husband. Her finger tightened on the trigger. Last chance, Marcus, walk away. Right now, or I swear to God I will end you. Marcus stared at her, then at Lucien, then back at her. You really choose him over me? Every single time. Something broke in Marcus's expression. His gun lowered, just slightly. That's when Lucien moved, fast, brutal, grabbed Marcus's wrist, twisted, disarmed him in 2 seconds, shoved him to the ground, gun to his head. Give me one reason, Lucien said, voice like gravel. Marcus looked up at Serena. Because she'll never forgive you if you pull that trigger. Lucien's finger tightened. Wait, Serena said. He paused. Didn't move the gun, but paused. Serena approached slowly, looked down at her brother, this man she'd grown up with, shared a childhood with, loved despite everything. He's right, she said quietly. If you kill him, part of me will die too. Not because I love him more than you, but because he's the last connection to who I used to be, and killing that, her voice cracked. I don't know if I can survive that. Lucien's expression was unreadable. So what do you want me to do? Let him go, one last time, and if he ever comes back, if he ever threatens us again. She looked at Marcus. Then I'll do it myself. Marcus's eyes glistened. Lucien stepped back, lowered his gun. Go, he said. Before I change my mind. Marcus stood slowly, looked at Serena. I'm sorry, he whispered, for all of it. I know. He backed away, into the shadows. Gone. Serena collapsed against Lucien, adrenaline crashing. Around them, the warehouse still burned. Sirens wailed in the distance. We need to leave, Lucien said. Police will be here in minutes. They ran. Made it to Lucien's car parked 3 blocks away. Drove through Boston streets, silence heavy between them. Finally, Serena said, I let him go again. I know. You think I made a mistake? Lucien was quiet for a long moment. Then, I think you made the only choice you could live with, and I love you for it, even if it means we're never safe. Serena's hand found his across the console. We're never safe anyway, she said. Not in this world, so we might as well choose love over survival. That's a dangerous philosophy. Good thing I married a dangerous man. Lucien smiled, small, genuine. They drove back to the penthouse as dawn broke over Boston, and Serena understood with brutal clarity. This wasn't over. Marcus was still out there, still a threat. Other enemies would rise, other wars would come, But she'd made her choice. Not her father's world, not her brother's ambitions. Lucien, and whatever came with him. She'd burned her bridges, chosen her path, and whatever hell waited on the other side, she'd face it standing beside the most dangerous man in Boston. Because that's what love meant in a world built on blood and violence. You chose your person, and you fought for them, until there was nothing left to fight with. The penthouse felt different when they returned that morning. Not the space itself, still glass and steel and minimalist wealth overlooking Boston Harbor. But the air inside it had changed. Heavier. Like the walls themselves knew what had happened in that burning warehouse, knew the blood spilled and the choice Serena had made when she'd aimed a gun at her own brother. She stood by the window, still wearing clothes that smelled like smoke and gunpowder, watching the sun climb over the water. Behind her, Lucien made coffee in silence. The domestic gesture felt surreal after the violence, after everything. "You should sleep," he said, bringing her a mug. "I can't." "Try anyway." She took the coffee, didn't drink it, just held it, absorbing warmth into hands that wouldn't stop shaking.
"He's going to come back," she said quietly. "Marcus, he won't stop until one of us is dead." Lucien moved beside her, shoulder touching hers. "I know. So what do? We prepare. We stay vigilant, and when he makes his move," Lucien's jaw tightened, "we end it, for real this time." Serena closed her eyes. "Don't know if I can." "You won't have to. When the time comes, I'll handle it. That's not fair to you?"
"I don't care about fair, I care about keeping you alive." He turned to face her. "You gave him 2 chances, Serena, 2 more than most people in this world ever get. Whatever happens next is on him, not you." She wanted to believe that, wanted to feel absolved, but guilt sat heavy in her chest anyway. They spent that day in careful quiet. Lucien made calls coordinated with what remained of his organization. The warehouse attack had been devastating. 7 of his men dead, millions in inventory lost, the shipping operation crippled. Marcus had struck a killing blow. And the other families smelled blood. By evening, Lucien's phone was ringing nonstop. Other bosses testing boundaries, rivals making overtures, everyone repositioning for the power vacuum they sensed coming. Serena listened to him navigate conversations with steel-edged patience, promising retribution, projecting strength even as his empire bled. Around midnight, exhaustion finally dragged her to bed. She slept fitfully, dreaming of warehouses burning, and her brother's face the moment she'd pointed a gun at him. She woke to an empty bed and the sound of breaking glass. Adrenaline snapped her fully awake. Voices. Downstairs. Lucien. Sharp, commanding. And another voice. Familiar. Marcus. Serena grabbed the Glock from the bedside table and moved toward the stairs. In the living room, Lucien stood facing Marcus across 10 feet of hardwood floor, both armed, both tense, and between them, a teenage girl Serena had never seen before. 16, maybe 17. Terrified. Zip-tied to one of Lucien's dining chairs. "What the fuck is this?" Serena demanded, weapon raised. Marcus's eyes cut to her. "Insurance." "Who is she?" "Emma Castellano, niece of the Castellano boss, daughter of his only sister." Marcus's voice was flat, mechanical. "I took her 3 hours ago, and I'm about to make this very simple." Lucien's gun never wavered. "Let her go." "No. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to transfer everything you own to me. Every business, every asset, every dollar, and then you're going to disappear, you and Serena both. Leave Boston, leave the East Coast, vanish completely." "And if we don't?" Marcus moved closer to the girl, put his gun to her head. She whimpered. "If you don't, I kill her. Frame you for it. The Castellanos will tear you apart. Every family in Boston will hunt you. You'll be finished." Serena's blood went cold. "Marcus, don't—" "Shut up." He didn't look at her. "This isn't about you anymore. This is about survival, about taking what should have been Dad's, what should have been ours." "She's a kid," Serena said. "She has nothing to do with this. Neither did the people who died in my warehouses. Neither did the men Lucien killed to build his empire. We're all covered in blood, Serena. At least be honest about it." Lucien's expression was carved from ice. "You won't do it." "Won't I?" Marcus cocked the hammer. "You don't know me anymore, Lucien. You don't know what I'm capable of." "Then prove it." Pull the trigger. Show your sister exactly what you've become. Marcus's hand trembled. The girl sobbed quietly. Serena's mind raced. The shot angle was impossible. Marcus was using the girl as a shield. Even if she fired, she'd probably hit Emma instead. But if they did nothing... Okay, Lucian said suddenly. You win. Serena's head snapped toward him. What? You win, Marcus. I'll transfer everything. Just let the girl go. Marcus's eyes narrowed. You're lying. I'm not. You were right. I love Serena more than I love power. So take it. Take Boston. Take everything. Just let the girl walk out of here. Lucien, Serena started. It's done, he said quietly. I'm tired of fighting. Tired of losing people. If this ends it, then it ends it. Marcus stared at him for a long moment, then slowly lowered his gun. Smart choice, he said. Get your laptop. We'll do the transfers now. Lucien moved toward his office. That's when Serena saw it. The reflection in the window behind Marcus. Movement. Two figures approaching from the balcony. Lucien's men, positioned there during the conversation, waiting for the signal. This was a trap, and Marcus had walked right into it. Lucien returned with the laptop, set it on the dining table. Before we start, he said casually, answer one question. What? Did you really think I'd let you walk out of here alive? Marcus's expression changed. Understanding. Fear. He spun toward the balcony. Too late. The doors burst open. Two men in tactical gear rushed in. Marcus fired wild. Hit nothing. Return fire dropped him. He fell hard, blood spreading across his shoulder. The girl screamed. Lucien's men secured the room while Lucien moved to Marcus, kicked his gun away. Serena stood frozen, weapon still raised, watching her brother bleed on the hardwood floor. Cut her loose, Lucien ordered, gesturing to Emma. One of his men freed the girl. She bolted for the door, sobbing. Lucien looked down at Marcus. This could have ended differently. Multiple times. But you kept coming, kept pushing. Marcus coughed blood. Fuck you. Yeah, you too. Lucien raised his gun. Wait, Serena said. Everyone turned. She approached slowly, stood over her brother. Marcus looked up at her through pain and rage. Come to gloat? No, I came to say goodbye. Something flickered across his face. You had every chance, she continued. Every opportunity to choose differently, to walk away, to let this go. But you kept choosing violence, kept choosing the family over, her voice cracked, over me, over yourself, over any chance at a real life. This is real life, Marcus spat. Power, territory, survival, everything else is fantasy. No, it's not. Serena crouched beside him. Dad believed that, and it killed him, slowly, turned him into something hollow. And now you're following the same path. Better than being his whore. Marcus glared at Lucien. Serena slapped him, hard. You don't get to talk about him. Don't get to reduce what we have to something crude just because you can't understand it. Tears streamed down her face. I loved you, Marcus. You were my brother, my family, and I would have done anything to save you, but you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Marcus's eyes glistened. I didn't know how to be anything else. Yes, you did. You just chose not to. Silence settled over them. Then Marcus said quietly, I'm sorry. For using you. For everything. I know. Will you tell Mom's grave when this is over? Will you tell her I tried? Serena's heart shattered. Yeah, I'll tell her. Marcus closed his eyes. Then I'm ready. Serena stood, stepped back, looked at Lucien. He understood immediately. You sure? He asked. She nodded. Lucien handed her his gun. Serena took it, felt the weight, looked down at her brother one last time. I forgive you, she whispered, for all of it. Then she pulled the trigger. The shot echoed through the penthouse. Marcus jerked once, then went still. Serena stood there, gun hanging loose in her hand, staring at what she'd done. Lucien moved beside her, gently took the weapon, pulled her against him. She didn't cry, couldn't. The tears were somewhere deep, frozen by shock and grief, too big for immediate processing. He's gone, Lucien said quietly. It's over. But Serena knew better. It would never be over. Not really. She'd carry this moment forever. The weight of her brother's life ending by her hand. The choice between love and blood. Between the family she'd been born into and the one she'd chosen. Lucian's men cleaned up silently, removed the body, scrubbed the floor, made everything disappear like it had never happened. By dawn, the penthouse looked normal again. Serena sat by the window, watching the sunrise, feeling hollowed out. Lucian brought her coffee, sat beside her. "Regret it?" he asked softly. "Killing him?" "No. He would have kept coming, would have hurt people, killed people. This was mercy, in a fucked up way." "Then what do you regret?" "That it had to be me. That it came to this." She looked at him. "That loving you meant losing everyone else." Lucien's expression crumpled slightly. "I'm sorry. Don't be. I chose this, chose you, and I'd choose you again." She took his hand. "But that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt." They sat in silence, watching Boston wake up below them. Eventually, Lucian said, "What happens now?" "Now we rebuild. Figure out what's left, move forward. Together? Always." He kissed her forehead, gentle, reverent, and for the first time since the warehouse, Serena felt something loosen in her chest. Not peace, not yet, but the beginning of it. 3 weeks later, the Castellano boss called. Lucien took the meeting in a neutral location, a restaurant in Cambridge, public enough to prevent violence, private enough for honest conversation. Serena went with him. Antonio Castellano was 60, gray-haired, carrying the weight of decades in this world. He looked at Serena with something like respect. "You returned my niece unharmed," he said. "For that, you have my gratitude." "She was innocent," Serena replied. "She didn't deserve to be used." Antonio nodded. "Your brother. I heard what happened." "He made his choices." "As we all do." Antonio turned to Lucien. "The old wars are over. Your territory is secure. Mine is secure. I propose we maintain that balance." "Agreed," Lucien said. "No more incursions. No more testing boundaries." "And the girl?" Antonio gestured to Serena. "She's truly your partner? Not a weakness to exploit?" Lucien's expression went cold. "She's my wife. My equal. Anyone who touches her answers to me." Antonio smiled faintly. "Then we understand each other." They shook hands. The truce was real this time, built on mutual respect instead of fear. When they left the restaurant, Serena felt lighter. "One less enemy," she said. "One less," Lucien agreed. They drove back to the penthouse through autumn streets, leaves falling gold and red. Over the next months, something shifted. Lucien began delegating, trusting his lieutenants with operations he'd previously controlled personally, spending more time at home. More time with Serena. She restarted her design business, took on clients, created logos and websites for startups that had no idea who she was married to. And slowly, impossibly, they built something normal. Dinners together, movies on the couch, quiet mornings drinking coffee and reading the news. The violence still existed. Lucien still handled problems, still made hard decisions, but he came home. Always came home. 6 months after Marcus died, Serena realized she was pregnant. She took 3 tests, all positive. When she told Lucien that evening, he went completely still. "Say that again," he said. I'm pregnant, about 8 weeks." His hands trembled as he pulled her close. "Are you sure?" "Positive. 3 tests, sure." Lucian's eyes closed. "I don't know how to be a father." "You'll learn. We both will." "What if I'm terrible at it? What if I become my father?" Serena cupped his face. "You won't, because you're already worried about it. Your father never was." "I've done terrible things, Serena. Killed people, hurt people. How do we raise a child in this world?" "By being better. By choosing differently. By making sure they know love instead of fear." Lucian kissed her, hard, desperate, like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. When they pulled apart, tears streaked his face. "I'm terrified," he whispered. "Me too." "But you're happy?" "Terrified and happy, both." He laughed through tears. "That sounds about right." The pregnancy was difficult. Morning sickness, exhaustion, anxiety about bringing a child into their complicated world. But Lucien was there for all of it. Held her hair when she vomited, rubbed her feet when they swelled, read pregnancy books cover to cover and asked their doctor 1,000 questions. Serena watched him transform. Not into someone soft, Lucian would never be soft, but into someone capable of tenderness alongside the brutality. Someone who could negotiate a territory dispute in the afternoon and assemble a crib in the evening. Her father would have called it weakness. Serena called it growth. 7 months into this pregnancy, they received an envelope with no return address. Inside, a single photograph. Marcus. Taken years ago, smiling, happy. On the back, handwritten, "I'm sorry for everything. I hope you find peace. M." Serena stared at it for a long time. "How?" she whispered. "I shot him. I watched him die." Lucien took the photo, studied it. The handwriting's wrong, not Marcus's. Then who? Someone who knew him, knew what happened, sending a message. Serena's hands curled into fists. Is this a threat? I don't know, but I'll find out. He made calls, ran investigations, tracked the envelope through 3 cities and 2 countries. The trail ended at a P.O. box in Montreal, paid for in cash. No cameras, no witnesses. Whoever sent it had vanished. Eventually, Lucien said, "Maybe it's what it looks like. Someone who cared about Marcus sending closure. Or someone reminding us they're out there, that they know what we did. Either way, we can't live in fear, can't let ghosts control us." Serena nodded, but she kept the photo, tucked it away in a drawer she rarely opened. A reminder that the past was never truly dead, just waiting. Their son was born on a cold February morning. 8 pounds, dark hair, lungs that could wake the dead. Lucien held him for the first time and cried. No shame, no hiding, just tears streaming down his face as he stared at this tiny life they'd created. "What do we name him?" Serena asked, exhausted and elated in the hospital bed. Lucien was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Gabriel." After no one, just his own person. "Gabriel Moretti," Serena tested. "I like it." She watched Lucien with their son, this dangerous man reduced to gentleness by 8 pounds of humanity. His hands, which had killed and destroyed, now cradled fragile life with desperate care. "I promise," he whispered to Gabriel. "I promise I'll be better. I'll be worthy of you." The baby yawned, and Serena understood something profound. Love didn't erase the violence, didn't undo the choices they'd made or the blood they'd spilled. But it gave meaning to survival, gave purpose to the fight. They'd clawed through hell to get here, lost family, killed enemies and people they'd loved, built a life on foundations of brutality and hard choices. But they'd also found something real, something worth protecting, worth dying for, worth living for. Gabriel's first year passed in sleepless chaos, diapers, feedings, the particular terror of keeping a tiny human alive. Lucien scaled back his organization further, promoted trusted people into leadership positions, let go of territory that cost more to maintain than it generated. Some of the old guard grumbled, called him soft, weak. He didn't care. Power meant nothing if he missed his son's first steps, first words, first everything. Serena watched him change with something like wonder. This man who'd once orchestrated wars now sang lullabies at 3 a.m., changed diapers without complaint, wore baby vomit on $1,000 suits and laughed about it. "Your father would be horrified," she said one night, watching him rock Gabriel to sleep. "Good. Means I'm doing it right." When Gabriel was 18 months old, they sold the penthouse, bought a house in Brookline, normal, suburban, with a yard and a swing set and neighbors who had no idea who Lucien Moretti was. They kept security. Some habits never died, but subtly, professionally. To the outside world, they were just another young family. Wealthy, sure, but normal. Serena restarted her art classes, taught neighborhood kids on Saturday mornings. Lucien still handled business, still made hard decisions. But he came home for dinner, read bedtime stories, taught Gabriel to throw a baseball in the backyard. And slowly, impossibly, they built the life Serena had dreamed of when she'd first walked away from her family. Not perfect, never perfect, but real, honest. Theirs, that. On Gabriel's 3rd birthday, they threw a party. Kids from the neighborhood, cake, balloons, chaos. Serena stood in the kitchen, watching through the window as Lucien pushed Gabriel on the swing, both of them laughing. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. She opened it and froze. A woman stood there. 50s, elegant, familiar in a way Serena couldn't place. Can I help you? Serena asked. The woman smiled, sad, knowing. You don't recognize me, but I recognize you. You look just like your mother. Serena's blood went cold. Who are you? My name is Catherine. She paused. I was your father's sister, your aunt. The world tilted. Serena had never known her father had a sister. He'd never mentioned family beyond his own children. I didn't know he had. He cut me off 30 years ago when I told him I was leaving the life, marrying someone outside the organization. He said I was dead to him. Catherine's eyes glistened. I tried to reach out over the years, especially after your mother died. But Vincent, he was stubborn, unforgiving. Why are you here now? Because he's gone. Because Marcus is gone. And because I wanted to meet you, to tell you that. She stopped, breathed. That you're not alone. That there's family out there who chose differently, who survived. Serena's throat tightened. What do you want from me? Nothing. Just to know you're okay. That you found a way out. I did. But it cost everything. Catherine nodded. It always does. The question is whether what you gained was worth what you lost. Serena looked back through the window, at Lucienne and Gabriel, at the life they'd built. Yeah, she said quietly. It was. Catherine smiled. Good. Then you're stronger than your father ever was. She handed Serena a card. Phone number, email. If you ever want to talk, to know about your mother, your family history, I'm here. Then she left. Serena stood in the doorway, card in hand, watching her disappear down the street. When she turned back inside, Lucien was there, Gabriel on his hip. Who was that? He asked. My aunt, apparently. You have an aunt? Apparently. Serena looked at the card, then at her husband and son. She wanted to know if we were okay. Are we? Serena moved closer, wrapped her arms around both of them. Yeah, she said. We are. Ishik. 5 years later, Gabriel started kindergarten. Serena stood at the bus stop with other parents, waving as the yellow bus carried their son away. He'll be fine, Lucien said beside her. I know, She stopped. He's growing up. Every day he's less ours and more his own person. That's the goal, isn't it? Doesn't make it easier. They walked home hand in hand. The house was quiet without Gabriel's chaos. Serena made coffee while Lucien checked his phone. Anything urgent? She asked. Nothing that can't wait. He set the phone down, pulled her close. Remember when we met, he said, at the Santoro wedding? I try not to. I was terrified. You were real, only honest thing in that entire room. I was running from my family. And I was dying of loneliness surrounded by people. Lucien's eyes met hers. You saved me, Serena. You know that, right? You saved me too. By stalking you? By pulling you into a war? By loving me? By choosing me over power? By becoming someone capable of... She gestured around them. This. Normal. Quiet. Happy. It's not always quiet. No, but it's ours. He kissed her. Soft. Sweet. The kind of kiss that held years of history and promises kept. When they pulled apart, Serena said, I need to tell you something. What? I contacted Catherine, my aunt. We've been talking. Email mostly. She told me about my mother, about what she was like before she married my father. Lucien studied her. How do you feel about that? Strange. Like I'm piecing together a person I never really knew, but good strange. Like I'm finding parts of myself I thought were lost. I'm glad. She wants to meet Gabriel. Says she has cousins his age. A whole side of the family I never knew existed. Do you want that? Serena was quiet for a moment, then, yeah, I think I do. Not to replace what we have, but to expand it. Give Gabriel more than just us. More than just your world. Then we do it. Together. That evening they sat on the back porch, watching the sun set over suburban Boston. Do you ever regret it? Serena asked. Giving up the empire? Becoming this? Lucien considered. Sometimes I miss the control, the power, the certainty. He looked at her. But then Gabriel laughs, or you smile at me across the dinner table. And I remember that power is just organized fear. Control is just elaborate loneliness. And this, he gestured to the house. This is the only real thing I've ever had. Even with all the violence it took to get here, especially because of it, we fought for this, bled for it, lost people we loved for it. That makes it sacred. Serena leaned against him. I killed my brother for this. I know. I see him sometimes, in dreams. He asks me if it was worth it. What do you tell him? That I hope so, that I'm trying to make it worth it, that Gabriel will grow up knowing love instead of fear, and maybe that's enough. Lucian's arm tightened around her. It's enough. It has to be. They sat in comfortable silence as stars emerged overhead. The violence still existed. In Lucian's business, in the world beyond their suburban bubble. But here, in this moment, there was peace. Hard-won, blood-bought, precious because of its cost. Low amounts. On Gabriel's 10th birthday, they received another envelope. No return address. Postmarked Montreal. Inside, a newspaper clipping. Obituary section. Marcus Vale. Died peacefully in Montreal. Survived by Sister Serena Moretti. Serena's hands shook. It's not possible, she whispered. I shot him. Lucien took the clipping. Read it carefully. The bullet hit his shoulder, not his heart. My men confirmed the kill, but he stopped. What if they were wrong? What if someone helped him, got him out? Who would do that? Catherine. She knew both of you. Maybe she... Serena's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? Silence. Then a voice. Weak. Familiar. Impossible. Serena. Her blood turned to ice. Marcus? Yeah, it's me. How are you? I shot you. I know. And I deserved it. He coughed. Catherine found me, got me to a hospital, saved my life. I've been in Montreal ever since. Rebuilding, trying to be better. Serena couldn't breathe. Why are you calling? Because I'm actually dying now. Cancer. Like Dad. And I wanted... His voice cracked. I wanted to apologize. For real. For using you. For everything. You faked your death. Catherine did. She thought you needed closure. Thought I needed a chance to disappear. To become someone new. Did you? Become someone new? I tried. Got a regular job. Met someone. Almost normal. He laughed bitterly. But the cancer doesn't care who you try to be. Tears streamed down Serena's face. Why tell me this now? Because I don't want to die with lies between us. You're my sister. I loved you. Even when I used you, I loved you. And I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to choose you over everything else. Serena closed her eyes. I forgive you. You shouldn't. I know, but I do anyway. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Thank you. For that. For everything. Marcus, I have to go. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, that I hope you're happy, that Gabriel... Yeah, Catherine told me about Gabriel. I hope he grows up better than we did. He will. Good. That's good. The line went dead. Serena stood there, phone pressed to her ear, listening to silence. Lucien pulled her close. What do you need? I need to know it's really over, that the past is actually dead this time. It is. I promise. 2 weeks later, Catherine called. Marcus had died. Peacefully. In his sleep. She'd taken care of the arrangements, cremated him, scattered his ashes in the St. Lawrence River. He asked me to tell you something, Catherine said. At the end. What? That he was proud of you, for choosing love, for being braver than he ever was. Serena hung up and cried for an hour. Not for the brother who'd used her, but for the boy he'd been before their father twisted him into something hollow and brutal. For all the ways their family had failed them both. For the fact that survival had cost him everything, while it had given her this strange, bloody, beautiful life. That night, she told Gabriel about his uncle. Not the violence, not the betrayal, just that she'd had a brother once, that he'd made mistakes, that he'd tried to be better at the end, Gabriel listened with the serious expression of a 10-year-old trying to understand adult pain. "Do you miss him?" he asked. "Sometimes, but I'm glad I have you and your father instead. Even though you had to fight for us?" Serena pulled him close. "Especially because I had to fight for us. The things worth having are always worth fighting for." Gabriel hugged her tight. "I love you, Mom." "I love you too, baby." Gishek. 20 years after the Santoro wedding, Serena stood in a gallery in Cambridge, her gallery, showing work from local artists, kids she'd taught, people who'd never known violence or fear. Lucian was there, gray at the temples now but still sharp, still dangerous when necessary, still hers. Gabriel was in college, studying architecture, dating a girl from Vermont who made him laugh. He had no idea what his parents had done to build this life, no idea of the bodies buried beneath their suburban peace. And that was exactly how it should be. Catherine came to the opening, along with cousins and their families. The aunt Serena had never known existed had become a lifeline to normalcy, to a version of the Vale family that chose differently. As the evening wound down, Lucian found Serena by the window. "Happy?" he asked. She looked at the gallery, at the art, at the people who'd come to celebrate something beautiful. "Yeah," she said. "I am." "No regrets?" "About us? Never." She took his hand. "About the cost? Every day. But I'd pay it again." "Me too." They stood together, watching the city they'd bled for, killed for, loved in. The violence was still out there. Always would be. But here, in this moment, there was peace. And for people like them, people who'd clawed their way out of darkness, peace was the greatest victory of all. Years later, when Serena was old and Gabriel had children of his own, she would tell him the truth. Not all of it. Never all of it. But enough. Enough to understand that love sometimes requires brutality, that choosing yourself means losing others, that the life you build with your own hands is worth more than the one you inherit. Gabriel would listen, process, and eventually say, "I'm glad you survived. I'm glad you chose Dad. I'm glad you chose us." And Serena would understand that despite everything, despite the blood and the betrayal and the brutal choices, she'd done one thing right. She'd loved fiercely enough to build something real. In a world that rewarded violence, she'd created peace. In a life built on fear, she'd chosen love. And in the end, when her own time came, she'd leave behind not an empire of power, but a legacy of people who knew how to survive darkness and still find light. That was enough. That was everything. The city outside her window glittered like broken glass made beautiful. And Serena Moretti, once Serena Vale, smiled, because the most dangerous man in Boston had once surrendered completely. Not to power, not to war, but to love. And together, they'd proven that even in a world built on blood, two broken people could forge something whole. That was the real victory. That was the only truth that mattered. And as the years stretched ahead, full of quiet mornings and loud family dinners, and all the beautiful mundane chaos of ordinary life, they held on to it, together, always together, until the very end.